The puffin will be in your back garden within years.
More phone calls from the lost and found of free speech.
Outrageous opinion and controversial comment with the dual voltage dream team. The Michaels, Graham and Parry. He's back, is he?
Through the night until dawn's early light.
The two Mikes, Parry and Graham on Talk Sport.
Look at the light!
Do you know how much they give their kids for a tooth? For the tooth fairy?
No, how much?
£5.
£5? That's brilliant. I love that. That's great.
What's great about it?
I tell you what, if my mum and dad had given me £5 for a tooth, I'd have pulled all my teeth out in one night. I would. That'd be brilliant. Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes, and I'm delighted to say it's time to say a very good morning to a very happy-looking Mr. Mike Porky Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
And a very good morning to you, Michael. How are you this morning?
I'm very well indeed.
This fine morning.
Yes, I know you're in a good mood tonight because, of course, Everton have won their first game in the league since last year.
Yeah. And guess who
Must be a huge relief.
Guess who they last beat?
Was it Newcastle?
Yes, it was, on Boxing Day away at
Newcastle.
Newcastle.
What about Newcastle fans, who must be now thinking, well, £28 million later after the January transfer window, maybe we're actually worse than we were before.
Well, I don't think they get worse because they were pretty shocking beforehand, and I suppose you could say if they get new signs, they've got to settle in and all that kind of stuff. But 3-0 is a drubbing.
Yeah.
I mean, we were 1-0 up until, late in the game, 80 minutes or something like that, 78 minutes, something like that. And that's a very, very nervous last 10 or 12 minutes for any Everton team this season.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Any Everton team this season because we've had such frailty.
Well, 3-0's a bit of a nervous position at this moment in time, isn't it?
Well, not really. I mean, we've lost games from being 2 goals up.
Yeah.
The last one being against Manchester City, of course. We haven't lost one or even drawn one. We've been 3 goals up. But no, the point I'm making is that the biting of the fingernails was all the Everton fans towards the end of the game, thinking, are we going to concede? Are we going to?
Is it going to be another draw?
Yeah, or even a home defeat like it was against Swansea in the previous game when we were 1-0 up. But it turned out the other way, and it was largely down to Ross Barkley. Now, apparently, that second penalty he scored is called the Panenka.
Is it?
Yeah.
Panenka?
Yeah, the Panenka.
What, the little cheeky chip?
Well, apparently it is. I mean, I'll tell you what, if I was a footballer, I wouldn't do things like that because I think I might get it wrong and then people might laugh at me or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not used to being laughed at, so that would be a
You're not used to being laughed at?
I'm certainly not.
Well, you shouldn't be used to being laughed at.
But anyway, he's now so confident about himself and so confident about his ability. He decided, I'll just chip this over the goalkeeper. So that was his second penalty. In between the 2 penalties, he had 2 great chances when he could have scored. Could have hit the, I think hit the bar with one of them got deflected.
Yeah.
So it was a great, great night. And everybody connected with Everton has reflected tonight. It was such a terribly important result. Because if you're going to turn the corner, you've got to turn it in February. And bearing in mind that we've got a tremendously important and...
What's that noise?
Sorry, that was my information device.
The sound off.
No, I was going to, but I was.
What's wrong with you?
I'm still receiving information about the Panenka and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
Who are you getting information from?
Oh, people who know these things.
Really?
Anyway, look, what I was going to say was
these are not people that help you out during the Porky quiz, are they?
Oh no! I don't take any. I don't need any help for that. Don't worry about that.
I'm not worried about it.
And Neil Lennon, of course. No, not Neil Lennon. Aaron Lennon, even. Neil Lennon is the manager of Bolton.
Aaron Lennon. You mean Aaron Lennon? Aaron Lennon.
Had a great influence on the game, giving us that early goal and all that to hang on to throughout the game. So
has he started running forwards now that he's played for Everton? Because when he played for Spurs, he was always running sideways. And I've noticed he still runs sideways a lot.
No, he doesn't.
He does. He runs more sideways than he does forwards.
No, he doesn't. Not in my experience. He runs
forwards.
No,
he does. You watch him.
Anyway, what I was about to say to you was our next very, very crucial game. Well, they're all crucial games now. We've got Stoke away on Saturday. Do you know what? Stoke came to Goodison recently and walloped us. I think we'll go there and wallop them.
Yeah, well, Stoke had a bad result on Tuesday, didn't they?
Yes,
they got slaughtered 3-0 by Manchester United.
Yeah. And my feeling is that Everton now have turned the corner.
Stoke are one place above them, aren't they? In the league.
They are indeed.
By 1 point.
Exactly. And what I was going to say to you is that today I received the official invitation from Bournemouth Football Club for you and I,
all right.
but you're coming as well,
Thank you,
to go to Bournemouth.
Yeah, what's the date?
It's February. It's a weekend of February 21, but we don't know yet if it's Saturday or
So you still can't
Sunday.
tell me the date?
No, I can't tell you the
when
date.
are you going to be able to tell me the date?
When the two football clubs and the
when is that
broadcasting
gonna
authorities work it out. Well, don't ask me.
Well, when is it
I'm
gonna
not in the
happen?
broadcasting world at that level. I'm in the broadcasting world at this level.
I can't commit
because
to it.
this is where I best communicate.
I cannot possibly commit to a date.
Well, don't commit then. I'll take somebody else.
Which is completely and utterly nebulous.
Got to find a reinforced seat for you in Bournemouth if I take you anyway. So why should I put myself out and,
Really?
I've
always said to you many times, I'm very happy to put my weight against yours in any situation that you'd like. I'm quite happy to be weighed in here with you.
Do you not understand?
On a weighing machine.
Do you understand that I'm held in awe now down on the south coast in the Bournemouth area?
Makes a sense of just being held, doesn't it?
What?
Just being held. Mike Parry was held last night. I mean, he must have written many intros like that.
Is that some kind of a ridiculous joke?
I don't think you're held in any great high esteem.
I think you'll find that due to my charitable work down on the south coast, I think you'll find that there are one or two people
I'll be delighted
who will be welcoming me back.
I'll be delighted to come with you, but you've got to give me a specific date. It's like me saying to you, "Oh, would you like to come with me to such and such a place?" But I can't tell you when.
Okay,
I can't give you a date.
If you don't feel honoured to receive the invitation, don't worry about it. We'll talk about something else.
I feel extremely honoured.
No, I'll tell you something.
I find it a bit bizarre to be given an invitation to something which has no date.
Well, it has no date because it hasn't been fixed yet, has it?
Well, when is it going to be fixed?
If I said to you, I tell you what, why don't we go to the next solar eclipse? Would you say, well, what's the date?
Well,
and
yeah,
if
I would.
Said,
well, of course I would.
I said, well, I don't know the date. No, astronomers don't know the date. Nobody knows the date, right?
Well, I would not put in ink in my diary or in whatever device I use, my calendar on my phone, a definite sort of commitment to go somewhere if I didn't know when it was.
You are a buffoon in my view.
That's like saying, why don't you come to the Hen and Chickens to see our show, but we can't tell you when it is.
Yes, well, you know when it is. It's on Friday. There's 6 spare seats, by the way, folks. The reason I tell you that is because we have released what they call the house seats, because there's been such a demand to...
Well, I thought it was all sold out.
It is all sold out, except for the house seats.
But then they revealed that they kept some back.
Yes, there are 6 seats available.
Which was not what we asked for.
Please go to the2mics.co.uk. Is that what it is?
That's it.
That's our website, and the link to the Hen and Chickens is there. If you want to come, we'd love to see you. Tickets are £20. That's a screening of the DVD and a personally signed copy of the DVD after the show. And be good to see you there if you want to come.
Yeah.
Right, now I want to talk to you about Gary Neville.
Yeah, I do too.
It's very, very important, this. I mean, he got walloped 7-0. Some of the tomorrow morning's newspapers find this such an important story that they've led their back page
Well,
with
I think it is an important story.
And why do you think it is?
Well, I'll tell you why I think it's an important story, because, I mean, aside from the fact that you said he would be a great success, which is partly...
I didn't say that.
Yes, you did. I mean, it's a
I'll
very,
tell you in a minute.
It's a very secondary kind of aspect of the story. The main point of the story is that Gary Neville has now gone from being probably the best pundit the Sky ever had, a man who was sort of universally admired,
revered,
for the way that he was able to analyse football matches, right? Yeah. But now, having gone over to the other side, as it were, poacher turned gamekeeper, when he comes back, which he will inevitably do, because he can't carry on like this, right? No. He will now be held in much less high esteem, I believe, because people will say, well, hang on a second, you before, when you were a brilliant pundit, you could tell everybody what they should have been doing. You appeared to be the greatest man alive. You should have been working with England, which you were, and maybe a future manager of Manchester United. Now, even if he goes back to being a pundit, people are going to say, well, look what you did. You didn't do anything.
Well, quite apart from anything else, should he still be working for England if his coaching ability has been stripped to, stripped bare and smashed to pieces when he's tried to take on the sole responsibility of running a football club, and not a terribly big football club, really. I'm not saying Valencia are, a minnow or anything like that. They're not. They're a very substantial
Manuel Pellegrini
club.
managed them, didn't he?
He did. You're absolutely right, yeah. I may go back to manage them this summer because, of course, Gary Neville is never going to get the full-time job there now. And that means what's going to happen to Phil Neville, who's his assistant.
Yeah, well, what's he doing there as well? I mean, he's obviously not helping much either.
He learned to speak Spanish very quickly. That doesn't seem to have done him much good.
No, it doesn't seem to. Let me read you what Gary Neville said on the 15th of April last year.
It's already been read out. It's already been read out.
But it's already been read out?
I don't mind you repeating it.
Well, I haven't read it out.
I heard this in the last hour.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Okay, let's
hear
hear
it
it again.
show.
Let's hear it again.
You see teams go to the new camp.
You don't mind repeating it? No, you don't mind.
Well, I didn't hear it.
Oh, okay.
And there'll be people who listen now to this show who weren't listening to the last show.
All right.
So I will read it out. Okay. And the fact that it's been repeated doesn't matter. Okay. The fact that Chelsea drew 0-0 with Watford has also been repeated.
Right,
the fact that Ross Barkley scored a penalty for Everton has also been repeated.
Just get on with
it. Would you like to not talk about that either?
You can just get on with it.
You see teams go to the new camp and get beat 5-6, 7-0 Barca are a good side. Well, they're a great side, but if I was involved with a team who got beat 7-0 there, I wouldn't be able to look my family in the eyes anymore.
So what does that mean?
Well, I presume he now won't be able to look at his brother.
I was going to say, yeah, when they go down in the dressing room, his brother's there, he just puts a hand in front of him and says, don't look at me, Phil.
Wear a mask.
Don't look at me.
Wear a mask.
Yeah, I mean, some people would say that, looking at Phil is not always the most...
Are you about to say something you could regret? You managed to stop yourself.
No, Phil Neville's a great guy, and I would call him a friend of mine. He's also a tireless worker of a charity.
Friend of yours, is he?
Yes.
When was the last time you spoke to him?
Well, he's in Spain, isn't he?
Well, so they've got phones in Spain.
Yeah, no, they've got phones. I don't want to bother him while he's rebuilding the team Valencia.
How about this from David in Cheshire?
Yes.
It's called the Panenka.
Yes.
Not the Paneka.
Yeah, I said that.
Huh?
I said that.
It was named after Antonin Panenka from the 1976 Euros.
I know.
You said the Panenka.
I didn't. I said the Panenka.
And James in York says the next solar eclipse is on the 21st of August 2017.
Is it? Oh,
so you
thanks for telling us
put that in your diary.
Okay.
So even the next solar eclipse has been set down.
Yeah.
But still, we don't know the date for Bournemouth playing Everton.
Yeah, but why are you blaming me for that? Well,
because you blame me for all sorts of things that aren't my fault, so I'm going to blame you for a change.
I'm withdrawing the invitation.
Okay,
sorry, that's it.
Fine.
You're not coming to Bournemouth.
No
okay?
problem.
You
I don't want to
not
come.
Good news, folks, in Bournemouth.
I thought Bournemouth invited me anyway.
Good news, but no, they've invited me plus one.
Oh, plus one.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I want to be plus one.
So the plus one is my choice.
Why don't you take some other snob from down that neck of the woods?
I might take somebody
in a place where you can't, who lives in a street where people can't smoke or park.
I might take somebody who rather fits in more to the the ambience of Bournemouth than some reject from North London, who never quite grasps the idea of wiping his feet when he goes into people's homes. You know what I mean?
Well, I presume you get slippers for that.
By the way, did you see the
Have
test?
you seen the time? Never mind the test.
Never mind that. On the outside, a pair of outside shoes, 387 different germs in a laboratory test, scientific laboratory test. That's why I take my shoes off and I walk through my door and put my indoor slippers on.
Why are you shouting?
And that's why I take my slippers off at the back door and put my outdoor slippers on, OK?
I think you should take some more pills. This is Talk Sport.
Listen to Kick Off with Mark Saggers tonight from 7. The UK's most interesting weeknight football.
This is very big business.
Kick Off tonight from 7 on Talk Sport.
You got anything better to do tonight?
If I live to see the 7 wonders, I'll make a prayer to the rainbow's head. I'll never live to match the beauty of care. Rainbow's
This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. Porky Vision coming up in a little while. We'll talk to Joe McLaughlin as well, former Chelsea player, on Diego Costa's antics, which were pretty rank last night.
What was that all about?
Well, I mean, he kept trying to get people sent off.
Did he?
I mean, he kept complaining to the referee every time he got touched. He kept sort of, he got booked himself at one point because there was a bit of a skirmish. And I think the trouble is with this guy.
He's a handful, isn't he?
Well, he is a handful, but you don't mind him being a handful if he's scoring goals, if you're a Chelsea fan. But if he's not scoring goals, what's the point of the guy?
Well, absolutely right. Listen, let's go back to Gary Neville for a minute, please, because you didn't even give me time to have my say on that one.
Didn't I?
And I feel I deserve to be able to have my say.
I feel very bad about not giving you the time to speak.
You.
Please carry on.
I mean, I did say when Gary Neville got the job, I said, you know what, Gary Neville? I said, if he wanted to be the next Dalai Lama, he would be the next Dalai Lama.
Yeah.
The guy is so single-minded, and he's so purposeful, he is so determined. He's established himself as one of the best TV pundits in Britain.
But he may have blown that now.
Well, let me just continue, please,
Go
without
on.
your constant
Well, I'm sorry, this is a
interruptions,
show involving two people.
Yeah.
I will occasionally make a comment about something you're saying. If you can't stand that, you can get lost.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
So we get like that now, are you?
Yeah, well, we both speak on this show.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say, back in your box, Jack, or anything like that, OK?
Don't.
Now,
because we'll bring the boxing gloves back.
Yeah. Now, what I was going to say is, right, and I said he could be the Dalai Lama because he was a successful pundit. He runs a very successful property and building company. He's got all sorts of business interests. Just an all-round terrifically successful man. However, what I could not understand, Monsieur Graham, was when
how about Senor Graham?
Senor Graham.
Senor
Graham, was when he left for this job, he made the strange statement to the football world, I would have lost my credibility altogether had I turned this job down.
Right.
Now, I questioned that and said, no. You have never said, one of these days I'm going to be a great manager, but you have proved to us all that you're a great pundit.
Right.
So why did you say I would have lost my credibility? You'd have lost your credibility if you'd have gone to America to try and be a TV pundit on a massive, great American network and failed. You would have lost your credibility.
Absolutely.
But why did you have to prove yourself as a manager when you had up till then, shown no ambitions to be a club manager.
But wouldn't that also then suggest that the reason he went to Valencia was more complicated than the fact that he wanted to suddenly be a manager?
Very much more so.
His relationship with the owner and what may happen in the future, because as you've said before, the owner and he are involved in various property deals.
Yep.
The guy's a multi-millionaire.
He owns a bit of Salford City, which is the club they sponsor in Greater Manchester.
And I've always said I believe he may have ambitions to buy Manchester United.
I totally agree with you.
And all of that sort of thing. However, surely now the question for him to ask is, have I now lost my credibility by going to be a manager and failing spectacularly?
Do you know what the problem is in this? People like Gareth Southgate, they set off on this mission to be great managers. And I remember Gareth Southgate at Middlesbrough, his first appointment as a manager. Yeah. Ridiculous. Like so many players before him, some chairman gets starry-eyed and says, "Oh, crikey, he used to be England centre-half and he was captain of Middlesbrough. Right. think we'll make him the manager."
Decent
That's a good
guy
idea.
as well.
Yeah, decent guy.
You've got something against Gareth Southgate.
Well, no, but after about a year of doing this, every interview after their matches, even before the interviewer asked him, "Do you feel your job's on the line?" Right. He would do the, puff his chest out and say, "I'm big enough to know that if I don't get results, I could be." I mean, he was almost trying to get himself sacked. You know what I mean, and that sort of thing. Right. And then he goes back to football punditry. Right. Roy Keane goes into business as a manager. That fails. Eventually, he goes back to football punditry. Yeah. I mean, these guys, they really are.
But then he ended up at England, though, didn't he, in the under-21 scenario?
Who?
In the under-16. You're talking about
Gareth Southgate. Yeah, but in between, it's like when actors, do a great series, they're resting, right? Yeah. It's like these guys go and do something, they fail, and then in their resting periods, they become football pundits. Yeah. Then somebody offers them a job again, and they go off and be a football coach.
But that's the business they're in, though. That's all right. I don't have a problem with that.
I am not knocking it at all. I mean, a lot of these guys we use here on Talk Sport. The only thing I'm saying is you don't have to be both a coach and a pundit. Yeah. You can be one or the other. Right. And Gary Lineker, for instance, is very much a pundit.
Yeah, but because
Gary much a pundit.
Yeah, but Gary Lineker was never a coach, and neither was Alan Hansen.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Right. So what I'm saying is, would Gary Neville maybe have not been better off to have just said, "Look, I'm doing so well at this," like Jamie Carragher is? Yeah. I mean, do you think Jamie Carragher will be the next to say, "Oh, I'll lose all my credibility if I don't become manager of Liverpool"?
No,
I'd stay where you are, Jamie, because you're doing a great job in the job you've got.
Exactly. But also, when the players like Carragher and Lineker and Shearer and those guys, well, actually Shearer did have a spell managing Newcastle, which didn't go well, did it? Yeah. But, they talk about it from the perspective of the players as well. Yes. So they're not necessarily speaking as managers or as potential managers. I think Gary Neville has blown it here by for whatever reason, deciding to, put his toe in the water.
I agree.
With this guy, Peter Lim. And I don't know why he did it.
I always thought it was mad. If you're going to say, right, it's time now to leap out of the commentary box or leap out of the studio and get into football management, I thought it was mad to go off to Spain, where you don't even speak Spanish, and try and take on an ailing club there and turn it round. Right. I mean, the most sensible thing to do would really to have made himself manager of Salford City, because that's where he would have started acquiring the managerial skills to do something. Yeah. And then, maybe Bury, which is a team that...
But, I heard Ray Parlour on the breakfast show this morning, and you would have heard him say this, because it was quite early, saying that, look at Teddy Sheringham, maybe it's better to actually start at the top. Pep Guardiola started managing Barcelona when he was 38. Yeah, it's true. Why bother going to Bury? Why, if you're going to be a manager, why start that far down?
Well, hang on. Ryan Giggs is trying to start at the top. Yeah. That's not working out. Right. And it ain't going to work out now, is it? Because it looks as though, whoever Manchester United got has got to be on par with Pep Guardiola. And Ryan Giggs, for all his success and genius as a player, cannot claim those credentials in coaching.
No, he certainly can't.
No.
I mean, he didn't set the world on fire when he coached them at the end of the year with David Moyes.
I thought in a run of 6 games, it's far too brief to be able to judge anything there. I think he won half the games.
Well, what about that? Well, maybe we're judging Gary Neville too early.
Yeah,
and maybe his season will turn around. But I mean, the fact is, he hasn't won a game in the league yet. Yes. He's won a couple of games in the Cup, and he's now just lost 7-0 to Barcelona.
Absolutely right,
which is a terrible defeat.
Also, he's chipping away at his own reputation as a straight talker who can take it on the chin by starting to attack members of the press, of which he has so recently been a member himself.
Well, he claims to be, but he was never really, was he? I mean, that was one of the things we talked about on Monday.
He was certainly a member of the media.
He called himself a reporter.
I know,
which he wasn't.
Yeah, he wasn't a reporter, no. Reporters dodge petrol bombs down the Lower Falls Road. Gary.
Well, sports reporters don't. And he doesn't have to dodge petrol bombs.
Well, even sports reporters, do have to get get in at the deep end and roll their sleeves up and get their hands dirty.
Yes.
In things like, chasing around in the middle of the night trying to find contacts and covering riots at football matches when they've been there and all that kind of stuff,
Yes.
And to that extent, no, he hasn't actually qualified within that particular branch of the media profession.
No, indeed. Lord Rallo says, well, Porky's well on the Red Bull train tonight, yelling for no reason, insults, we're off and running, he says.
Off and running?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, I think he's expecting you to do that.
No. Look, the point is, you get fired with enthusiasm when you see things working out. It's like Gary Neville said, lost his credibility. He would have lost his credibility, he said, had he not gone to Valencia. Now, unfortunately, he has lost his credibility. I made a prediction tonight. I predicted Everton would win 3-1.
Did you?
They actually won 3-0.
Right.
So I think I have to say...
I have to say, having checked your Selco predictor,
yes,
you're minus 80 for the midweek games.
I don't care about that.
You don't care?
I think
Do you
you
know
have
I've
to
moved up a level? I'm up to 16th now.
Oh, I'm so pleased.
Do you know I got 90 points?
That's great. It's made me feel good.
For getting the exact result between West Ham and I think it was who did they beat? I can't remember who West Ham beat.
Villa.
Well, it was Aston Villa, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I put my golden chip on it.
Oh, did you?
90 points I got for that.
Golden brown.
Now, how about this from Rangi?
Texture like snow.
What?
Do you know what that was
Texture like snow?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Do you know what it was written about?
Yes.
What?
Heroin.
Exactly.
Which
I thought it was shocking.
Which doesn't have texture like
I
snow.
thought it was absolutely shocking.
So it wouldn't be texture like snow, would it?
Make records about heroin. Terrible. Yeah,
Well,
go
of
on.
course people make records about heroin. Why wouldn't they? Rangi says this. Panenka invented that penalty chip in Euro 1976 final versus Germany to win the Euros for Czechoslovakia.
Yes.
Barkley took his in the 94th minute while 2 up. So I think his point is it's a bit easier to do it when you're not under quite that much pressure.
Yeah, what he's saying is that man was the coolest footballer on the planet at the
think so,
time.
yeah.
Excellent.
And how about this from James? Mr. Nasty has come out ranting and shouting towards MG about the dates of the FA Cup 5th round.
Yes.
And somebody's texted us.
Yes.
Kev has texted us to say the date has already been settled. It's the 20th of February. Is that true?
Well, the 20th is a Friday, isn't it?
I don't know.
Somebody look in their diary, please. I'm getting rather worried about this.
Well, I'm worried
about
about your
night.
inability to organise anything.
What?
And you're going to give me the wrong date.
Hang on.
And I'm going to have to arrange my
wait.
weekend and see my kids on certain days.
No, just
right?
shush. Here we go. Thursday.
Tell me to shush.
No, if you don't mind, please. Thursday the 4th at the moment. So Friday is the 5th. So 7 days on 12.
What are you doing? Why don't you
Hang
just
on.
look at the calendar?
So, I can't find my calendar on my information.
Well, I'll look at
device.
my calendar and
so
tell you.
7 days on 9. It's a Saturday. Now, does it say what time the kick-off is, please?
He says 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock on Saturday?
Yeah.
No, it can't be. It's being televised.
Well, what's wrong with that?
You can't televise games at 3 o'clock on a Saturday, I'm sorry.
It's a cup game, isn't it?
You cannot televise any games at 3
Yeah, but
o'clock
it's
on
a
a
cup
Saturday.
game.
Mike, you can't televise any
Well,
games.
even if it's a cup game?
No, definitely not, because it affects all the lower league teams who kick off at 3 o'clock.
Right.
And that's the whole protective
Well, maybe
barrier.
it's not being televised then.
No, it must be getting televised.
Why?
Because they're televising 5 games over that weekend.
Well, maybe
And
that's not one of them.
There's only 8 games.
Well, maybe that's not one
There's
of them.
bound to be one of them
Why?
after the 3-3 draw that
Why?
happened there.
Why?
In
No, I don't necessarily
in the
agree with
first
that.
half of the season.
No, I
Of course they'll be
wouldn't say so.
televising it.
I don't think so.
What?
Anyway, get it sorted out. This is Talk Sport.
Inspire the next generation of young fans and celebrate the spirit of the game on Talk Sport with Barclays. Don't miss the warm-up and call Collymore this weekend when one lucky youngster will win tickets to their first ever Barclays Premier League game. Plus, keep listening to Talk Sport next week for your chance to get your hands on incredible big match tickets for you and a young fan. Win an unforgettable experience that will last a lifetime. Play first games on Talk Sport with Barclays, championing the true spirit of the game. For full terms and conditions, go to talksport.com/competitions.
The kitchen has changed. And with up to 40% off a selection of ready-to-fit Wix kitchens, you can enjoy a new one in no time. Plus cabinets from as little as £25 and worktops from £35. Is it time to change yours? Wix. Let's do it right. For offer details, visit wix.co.uk.
Mate, are you meditating? What?
I'm at one with a new peace of mind. Because Trust Ford have now moved to a new purpose-built transit centre in Dagenham. Repairs, maintenance, support, even new and used commercial vehicle sales. Trust Ford keeps you on the road. They're always there for you, makes you feel loved. And I don't say this often enough, but I love you.
Leave it out, Dave.
Trust Ford's transit centre in Dagenham is now open to look after you. Peace.
Drive on Talk Sport, the UK's only sports-dedicated drive time with Sky Sports. The sharpest analysis on all the day's action from the giants of sport.
Shane Warne is with us on the show. How you doing, Shane?
G'day, guys. How are you?
Laser-guided comment and rapid reaction from a nation of sports fanatics.
Into the corner of the net.
Drive home with Darren Gough and Adrian Durham.
Who else?
Weekday afternoons from 4 on Talk Sport with Sky Sports, the home of the Barclays Premier League.
Talk Sport. Massive names in the world of sport and beyond.
Oh, my days. He's going back away from goal and boom.
Piers Morgan.
Triumphed in newspapers, written best-selling books, had a number of transatlantic hit TV shows, and yet massively maligned by the public. And I have no idea why. You should be loving me, all of you.
Any violins?
Everton boss Roberto Martinez.
John Stones, Ross Barkley, Romelu Lukaku, now Gerard Deulofeu. Very young age. It's been really, really exciting.
Plus the biggest games and the biggest goals.
There's a shot into goal by Alexis Sanchez, and he's lifted over the top of Aurelio Gomez, and it's in.
Expect the unexpected on Talk Sport.
Crazy, but that's how it goes. Millions of people living as hoes. Yeah, but maybe it's not too late to learn how to love.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Porkyvision coming up a little bit later on, of course. Quite a lot of people getting involved with some of the things you've said already.
Yes, good.
Here's
good.
one from an HGV driver, as he calls himself. Mike and Mike, Setanta Island, which is part of BT Sport, show live games at 3 on a Saturday. If you're lucky enough to have the Setanta Island on special Sky boxes, you can see these games.
And which games are they?
He doesn't specify.
They're not league games in this country.
Well, this is not a league game you're talking about. It's a cup game.
I know, but it's not a game in this country at 3 o'clock. You can't show them because if somebody in Rochdale...
Well, maybe it's not on, though.
If somebody in Rochdale is going to watch Rochdale, they kick off at 3 o'clock. And on the way to...
That's rubbish, isn't it?
On the way...
That's rubbish, though.
What?
They should change the system.
No, on the way to the...
If you're a Rochdale fan, right, why would you not go to Rochdale so that you can watch Everton play at 3 o'clock on the telly?
I'm just telling you, right? So you go in the pub at lunchtime with your mates to have a few pints before you go into Rochdale, and all of a sudden... You see Manchester United are playing. They're kicking off at 3 o'clock. Right. So you stay in the pub all afternoon and watch that.
Why?
Because it's a better quality of football.
You're not a real Rochdale fan.
No, you're not. You're a football fan.
No, you're not.
Deciding to stay
that's
here.
rubbish. I don't believe that.
Well,
that's why the
well,
FA
you don't
in this
understand
country...
the psychology of people.
I understand the psychology of people very well. All right, let me put it to you.
Yeah.
If you were, for example, in a pub in Bournemouth on the day that Everton were playing and the game was not being televised and it was a 3 o'clock kickoff and instead there was a Barcelona-Real Madrid game on because it's a better quality of football, would you stay in the pub and watch that?
No,
or go to the game for which you had a ticket?
Of course I wouldn't.
Well, then you've just ruined your own argument.
No, I haven't, because a lot of people can't get into Old Trafford because there's such a waiting list for tickets.
Yeah, but
so they go to places like Bury and Oldham and Rochdale instead.
Hang on, you're talking about
but
a football
then if it's
team...
available on television at 3, they don't go to the lower league teams.
Hang on, you're using a bad analogy. You're talking about a football team that's only scored once in the first half since September.
Don't be
that
daft.
Was yesterday.
They're Manchester United.
Yeah, but they're boring to watch.
It doesn't matter. They're Manchester United and they're the world's most popular football club.
I think you're absolutely wrong.
No,
let me read you this out.
You can't just say that because I'm afraid you're not making sense.
No,
anyway.
you've just made my argument for me.
No, I haven't.
You said you wouldn't do it. You said if you're a proper fan, you would go to the game.
You're trying to compare Everton with Barcelona and Real Madrid. I'm comparing Rochdale with Manchester United.
Well, if you're a Rochdale
fan... completely
I'll
different
tell you what,
simile.
Hopefully there'll be a Rochdale fan listening.
You're nowhere near proving the point.
If there is a Rochdale fan listening, I would love it if you just rang up and said, I would rather see Rochdale play live than watch football on the telly at any time.
Yeah, but he's one Rochdale fan.
Well, so if your argument gets proved wrong, you'll just deny it.
No, not
How about
at all.
this from Russ in Barkenhead?
Yeah.
Birkenhead.
Yeah.
He says, of course, astronomers know when the next solar eclipse is. The dates of solar eclipses are known hundreds, if not thousands, of years hence.
Oh, yeah, but it doesn't always happen on time.
And Kloppite says, Everton getting this far in the cup is as rare as an eclipse. So a good analogy from Porky. That's quite good, isn't it?
No. It's very unfunny.
Irish one says, one thing Neville sitting pausing his buttons on Sky, another thing drilling a team 7 days a week.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Which I think is true.
Yeah.
Here's a question from John in Clevedon who says, Mike, is Adebayor cup-tied or can he play against Spurs in the next FA Cup round? I presume he's not cup-tied. He hasn't played for anybody.
Who?
Adebayor.
He hasn't played anybody for 15 months, has he?
Who? I just said his name.
Yeah. I'm just thinking. Yeah. Thinking aloud.
Thinking aloud.
Yeah.
And here's one from Mike at Esho who says, after the reference to the Stranglers' Golden Brown, please quiz Porky in regards to what he also thinks the Lars There She Goes is about. The band were, after all, from his neck of the woods. There She Goes. You know that song by the Lars? They're from Liverpool.
No, I don't know that song.
Oh, well, maybe play it to you later.
I know a song from years ago. There she goes down the street, or something like that. Anyway, listen, I'll tell you what I'll talk to you about. Do you remember the other night we talked about the train driver who was getting on my nerves because he tells jokes to all his passengers?
Because he's trying to cheer people up.
Trying to cheer people up, telling silly jokes like, good evening, everybody, or good morning, everybody. There's only one destination for where you're going on this train. Work, and all this jokes and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and
it's shocking, isn't it?
I said to you, if he was on my train, I'd pull the communication cord and jump off.
Yeah.
Or I would, at the next station, get out, walk up to the front, to the cab where he's driving and say, could you shut your blinking mouth, please,
It's very rude of you,
because I'm on this train to get to work, I'm concentrating, I'm trying to think about things, and all you're doing is telling a stream of stupid jokes, childish and puerile. Just shut your mouth and drive your train.
Do you think you might be led away by British Transport Police?
No,
I think you might.
No, but listen. Because I have confidence in the way I can read the psychology of the human beings,
Is that right?
including football fans from Rochdale. Yeah. Right, I had a look on the old social network sites to find out how people have responded. So what about this one?
Yeah.
It was surprising to learn of such a positive reaction among train passengers to driver Steve Copley running a quiz and cracking jokes via his public address system.
Oh, he runs a quiz as well, does he?
A quiz as well, yeah. I mean, this is the joke, isn't it? Yeah. He might be popular among that particular group of commuters on his regular route, but it is surely preferable for railway announcements to be factual and minimal.
Who's saying all this?
This is one commuter who's commenting on this.
Oh, just one commuter? Well, you mean like one Rochdale fan?
Hang on, I found hundreds of these.
Oh,
I can't
really?
read hundreds out, right?
Hundreds?
Yeah. This person called Francis Harvey from Bristol, so they've got a name, OK. It says, many a journey is blighted by an over-cheery guard imposing his or her naff, laboured humour or frustrated DJ platter on the passengers. At least Mr. Copley has the excuse that he's actually a former DJ. Passengers might be travelling for all sorts of important or traumatic reasons.
Traumatic?
Such as attending an exam, job interview or funeral, and might be in no mood
funeral.
So
this is someone who is with the same view as you, basically, which is why I'm reading it out. Another kind of, dullard who doesn't enjoy life.
And may be in no mood for chirpy, puerile banter or indeed any shattering of their peaceful private thoughts.
Yeah.
OK?
Well,
I think that just about sums it up.
Just put some headphones in.
Means that I'm right.
Well, no, it doesn't.
Why should you have to wear headphones when you're on the train?
Well, you don't have to.
No?
But if you don't like what you're listening to, you have various options. You can put headphones in so you can't hear it. But
Train
why
drivers
would you, having just told me that one Rochdale fan would not prove my case, now use one bizarre kind of random email or something from someone, which you think proves yours?
Because I use examples of the way people think. You don't. You just, pluck your views out of the air.
No, I have
views
views based upon
of it.
not only my own experience, but also other people's experience of life, whereas you just get yours out of the papers.
However, there is some good news about the train service.
Yeah, go on.
You know when the HS2 comes in, and by the way, I object to it enormously.
Well, I hope it's never coming in.
So do I. I hope it never comes in. But there is one good aspect of it which I've discovered.
Yeah, go on.
It is going to have first, second...
Right.
And third-class carriages.
What, not the ones where they sit at the back and they get drenched by what gets thrown out of the windows in the first-class carriage?
That's right.
As you once described.
Open-top carriages at the back.
Third class?
Yeah.
Well, what's that going to be like?
The high-speed HS2 trains could have 3 carriage classes to attract business commuters.
Yeah.
The 200-metre-long trains, that's quite a long train, isn't it, could have premium carriages with space for wealthy travellers who want to work undisturbed. Yep. I'll be in that one.
You won't be. You don't want to work undisturbed. You want to drink undisturbed.
No. Plans under consideration include splitting the carriages into 3 sections, standard coaches with 5 seats across a carriage, first-class carriages with 3 seats across, and luxury carriages with as few as 2 seats in a row. The design is one of several options under consideration by HS2. Now we're talking business, you know what I mean? You start making trains that look like aircraft, business class aircraft.
So what's the time? I mean, how much are they going to charge for these trains?
Well, quite a lot, I would think.
Yeah, because, it only gets you to somewhere like, Manchester, an hour quicker or something like that?
20 minutes quicker to go from London to Birmingham.
Yeah,
Who cares?
20 minutes is no good.
Who cares? I don't want these trains.
But it'll be held up at signals for half an hour, so it'll still be 10 minutes late anyway.
This project's going to cost something like 25 billion quid. I just don't want them. It's going to... By the way, I read something today. It's going to destroy loads of little copses and woods where they build railway tracks through them.
Yeah,
it's
and
going
where people bury dead bodies.
It's going to ruin people's homes.
Yeah.
Do you know Melissa Kite, the writer?
Well, do you know what I heard the other day?
Yes.
That there's some suggestion that Primrose Hill might be affected.
That's right.
And Primrose Hill is one of the most beautiful and gorgeous
But
parts of
George
London.
Osborne then has got to find another $5 billion, so you have to build a
I don't know
tunnel
what he's
under
doing.
Primrose
I don't
Hill.
think he knows what he's doing.
Because the people of Primrose Hill are staunch Tory voters. And by the way, I'm getting a bit upset about George Osborne putting so much taxation, Osborne, on property owners in this country, because it's simply not right.
Because you're getting hit by the buy-to-let tax.
It is simple.
Is that what you're saying?
Buy-to-let tax, 3% more on stamp duty when you buy and sell property.
You just pay your share of tax.
It will kill off the golden goose.
Well,
it's
are you
not
going to
right.
sell all your properties then, are you?
Well, the trouble is, if I start selling them, the price of them goes down.
Yeah, oh dear.
If there's 500,000 more properties on the market...
What, you mean you won't be able to maximise your profits?
Well, I'm very worried about it, because if you can't maximise your profits, it's a business you want to get out of.
Yeah, well, you should.
You get out of it, it collapses.
I read a piece yesterday, I think it was, saying that there's a big worry that the housing market's going to be flooded with buy-to-let properties.
You're absolutely right.
Because all these greedy slum landlords who can't bear to pay any tax,
I'm not
even
joking.
though they're making the money hand over fist, they're all going, oh dear, we're going to have to sell now.
I read that in the Times. I had a very sleepless night.
Yeah, good.
It's very,
I'm
very
glad.
worrying. Believe
I'm
me.
glad. That means that the house prices will come down, the market will reset
Value
itself,
of my property
and ordinary people will be able to buy property.
The value of my property portfolio could dip by 10%.
Excellent news. Great stuff.
God, your envy and malice
I'm not
towards
envious.
me is
No, I couldn't care less.
unbridled.
I couldn't care less.
Unbridled.
This is TalkSport.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Super opinionated oratory.
Give it a workout.
Talk Sport.
Good song, isn't it?
Who is that?
That's the one I was telling you about, the Lars. There She Goes.
Oh, okay, yeah. How many years has that been around?
I was around about the 90s, I think it came out.
Because the Lars, of course, is a Liverpool expression. I've never understood it. For lad, you know.
Actually, late 80s, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, the Lars. And that was also about heroin.
Oh, it was about heroin, was it?
You listen to the words.
What?
You know, you listen to the words.
Yeah.
There she goes again.
There she goes again. What's that mean?
Racing through my brain.
Oh, racing through my brain. Because the other one, which was used to promote a child's toy for a while, before people found out what it was about, was what was it? It was about heroin, and it was what was the song called?
It wasn't Heroin by the Velvet Underground.
No, I don't think it was Heroin by the Velvet Underground. It was. She's Lovely or something like that. You know, She's Lovely or what was the chorus?
Isn't She Lovely? Stevie Wonder.
No, that wasn't about heroin. It was... which song am I thinking about
What the hell are you
here?
talking about?
I'm trying to get it. You see, if you just stop...
Well, I can't stop talking. We can't just have dead air while you think.
I'm trying to just think for a second. Hang on.
Well, go on then. Think it aloud. Think it aloud.
It was...
Was it something by Prince?
You're fantastic or something. It was the chorus.
You're
was,
fantastic.
You're fantastic or you're wonderful. You're lovely or you're wonderful. You're fantastic. But it was about heroin. It wasn't about it. It sounds
what
like
song are you talking about?
Sounds like he's talking to a woman, you know,
Right.
but he's not. He's talking about the effect of heroin.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know which song.
Well,
I'm
who was
talking
it
about.
by?
I don't know who it was
Well,
by.
what the hell is the point of bringing it up?
I never usually, or don't very often, pick up on who's singing these songs. I just like them.
Right.
You know, so, and that's a problem, because sometimes when I'm at a sort of function or something like that, and people say, "You got any requests?" I say, yeah, I want that record that sounds like this, but I never know the name of it or who sung it. So anyway, that's a pity. But look, talking about transport and all that, did you know?
Transport?
Yeah, we were talking about trains, right?
No.
Yes, we were. We were talking about trains.
When?
Oh, have you gone mental?
No.
So you didn't realise that we were talking about HS2 and first class, second and third? Oh, we were. We were.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yes, okay, yeah. And before that, we were talking about the mad train driver. Who,
That's right.
Yeah, so we have been talking about
we have,
transport.
you're right, yeah.
Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, your bizarre rant about heroin has kind of thrown me.
Did you know that some nutter at the Department of Transport has decided that we should take markings off the roads?
Yes, I saw that. Because he thinks it will make drivers drive more carefully.
Slower. No, go slower.
So what? Basically, if you've got a 2-lane street in London,
yes,
it'll have no white lines.
No white lines. I mean, this is the latest brilliant idea.
But what about
to slow traffic down?
What about when you drive on these roads?
Yeah.
The first thing you see every 10 yards is a huge, massive 20.
Yeah, that's
which
right.
tells you it's 20 miles. Are you going to take that out as well?
I don't know.
And then when you hit some of the speed bumps,
That's
you know,
right.
there's big white markings on those.
Yeah.
Those going to go?
I've no idea. And what about
Zebra crossings?
What
Take
about
them
the
out?
number of people we have in this country now from overseas?
Yes.
Who may think that, well, perhaps in this country we drive on the right-hand side
Yeah.
rather than the left-hand side.
Well, they're all driving Ubers in London, aren't they?
Yeah. And as there are no markings on the road anyway, perhaps it's a... I mean, most people, if I don't see a marking on a road, I assume it's a one-way street.
Do you?
So I will drive on
Well,
whichever
there are
side I
markings
want.
on one-way streets as well, though.
No, but what I'm saying is, you turn into a road and there's no markings,
Yeah.
oh, it must be a one-way street then.
Yeah.
Because if there's not a line down the middle of the road, it's not dividing the road into two, is it?
Yeah,
you see
but
my
I mean,
point?
But how would you know then which way it was going?
Well, you wouldn't. That's exactly
Right.
the point. So the total confusion...
Well,
it
maybe
sa-
they should just make it a free-for-all.
Well, yeah, I totally agree.
I wouldn't object to that.
It says central markings on 3A roads in London were erased during resurfacing recently and have not been replaced. Transport for London, these are the nutters who go around closing down roads and digging them up all the time, which manages major roads across the capital. No, you don't. You mismanage major roads across the capital. You keep putting in cycle superhighways and then digging them up for 3 weeks later.
I'll tell you what, it'd be bad news for cyclists if they took out all the cycle lane markings, wouldn't
It would, yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
yeah.
then they really would be in some trouble.
It says that the system used on parts of the A22 and the A23 in South London, the A23 goes down to Brighton, comes out of London and goes south to Brighton.
It goes down by Gatwick.
That's right, goes down to Gatwick. And the A100 in central London may now be expanded to other roads.
Right.
I mean, it's just mad. It says here...
Where do these people come from?
I don't know. It says here they've got evidence that you can cut the average speed of cars on these roads by 13%. These are roads which are already designated 20-mile-an-hour roads.
I know.
I mean, do you want us just to stop dead?
Yeah.
I mean, let's bring back the horse and cart.
They do.
Right?
They're about to redevelop all sorts of gyratory systems. I told you, King's Cross.
Yeah.
They're going to completely dig up, right?
Yes.
You know when you come from, you're coming past King's Cross Station from Marylebone Road.
Yes.
And you basically, there's a sort of there's not really a
I know
roundabout
what
there.
you're talking about.
But it's always very busy. But they're now going to dig all that up. They're also
Yes.
going to dig up basically the bottom of Archway,
Yeah.
which is a big roundabout system.
Yes.
And you're not going to be able to go anywhere. When I went down
It's
the
just
A2,
ridiculous.
I went down the A2, the road that goes into the Blackwall Tunnel.
Yes.
They've reduced the 50-mile-an-hour speed limit dual carriageway to 30.
30.
Yeah, and nobody knows why.
And loads of people get caught in that.
Yeah.
Road Peace, a road safety charity, has praised the initiative.
Great.
So that sounds like a bunch of, clowns, saying that self-enforcing schemes are key to reducing speeding as road policing budgets are cut.
Right.
Well, if the police didn't go around investigating things that don't happen, like historic sex crimes, which have never happened.
Right, well, some have.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
some haven't.
most of the recent ones, like Lord Bramall, 20 officers turn up at his house, and then they find out, actually, this man never committed any sort of a crime, right?
There's not much perspective being used, is there?
No. They say key to reduce roads as road policing budgets are cut.
Yeah.
Motoring groups, however, have warned that removing white lanes could be fatally flawed. The AA, Paul Watters... Watters, W-A-T-T-R. Old Watters says without exaggeration, it's true to say that a simple pot of paint can save lives.
Yeah.
In particular, highly visible markings at the edge and centre of the road.
I mean, why don't they just do it on motorways as well?
Oh, just unbelievable. I mean,
It's
I
mad,
get
isn't
so
it?
fed up with the people in this country.
Yeah.
People in authority in this country, numbskulls.
Yeah,
Most
right.
of them are numbskulls,
They are.
okay?
Nobody
I
knows
could run
why.
things better myself. You know who should be running this country? People like Lord Sugar. People like Richard Branson.
Yeah.
People like Bill Gates, you know? These guys are very successful in business and they could transfer their business skills into running society because society is one big business. Britain is a business.
Right.
It's a big business.
Okay, what
And
about the people who haven't got any money? Poor people.
Poor people must be looked after by rich people.
Really?
And you know how you do that?
You pay tax.
No, you cut taxes.
No, you pay tax.
Cut taxes.
No, you pay it.
If you cut taxes, you get greater productivity, greater growth, greater wealth, and then the wealthy have to employ the poorer people and give them a better standard of living.
Well, that's some kind of pittance of a living.
No, it's not
So
pittance.
you can hire a load of slaves, is that what you're telling me?
I tell you what, you won't find a bigger supporter of increasing the minimum wage than moi. Okay?
Really?
Seriously.
Okay.
I believe it's awful to
Well,
say
how
to
many people do you employ?
Well, what's that got to do with it?
Well, you're making this big grand
Yeah.
statement. So how many people do you employ?
No, most people are talking about the minimal national living wage,
Yeah.
which applies to the vast
No,
majority
it's not
of
the
the
minimal
working
national
population.
living wage, it's just the national
but
living
what I'm
wage.
saying is, the idea...
No, but
that-
if you're a shining example of how
Yes.
capitalism will save the world,
Yes.
surely, as already you are in not a bad place, you
Yes.
should be employing loads of people.
Well,
didn't you?
I do.
Well, how many people do you employ? That's the question I asked you.
Indirectly, probably.
Indirectly?
Probably about 5.
How many directly?
About 2.
Really?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Now, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I told you I had my car washed, did I not, this week?
I think so.
Yeah.
Wasn't that last week?
Last week, that's right. Well,
It
last
still
weekend.
looks quite clean.
It's very clean.
Yeah.
And how much do you think I gave the guy who cleaned it?
Well, I told you normally give them some ridiculous tip, don't you?
He asked for 7, I gave him 12.
Yeah.
So that's because I believe we should increase the national minimum wage.
Right.
I pay my cleaners way above the rate because I like
Do you?
a good job done. I also want them to feel like my family. You know what I mean? You know, I want to embrace...
So you want to have a feudal system,
I want to
basically.
embrace their emotions.
You want to have a feudal system
as well
where
as,
you have a lot of slaves doing your sort of dirty work
as
for
well
you.
as being their employer, because I feel that's the way forward.
Yeah.
That's the way that you bond in society,
Uh-huh.
and you build a society from... You build a society...
I'm sure they're all very grateful to you.
You build a society from the basement up, not the top down.
Uh-huh.
You know?
So trickle-down economics is no good then?
Oh, economics you trickle down.
Oh, I see. I
but
think you're
don't-
using an analogy.
No, but you don't trickle down power.
Ah.
Power goes wrong when somebody is appointed at the top and then delegates power down.
Right. Well, that's what you're describing.
No, I'm not. I'm describing a situation born of the people, for the people, with the people, in
How
the
about by the
basement.
people?
And by the people, which grows and flourishes into a person being nominated to lead, not a dictatorial individual. Although, actually, I am quite in
You saved
favour
time, by the way.
of benign dictatorship.
Are you?
Because a lot of people are too stupid to run their own countries.
Yeah. I think you're very confused.
And we have to go and help them.
I think you're very confused about what it is that you want.
No,
and what
no,
it is
no,
that you
I know.
think the way the world should work. Anyway,
I know.
we're not in a position to talk any more about it because we're out of time. But we'll have more explanations of Porky's bizarre philosophy next.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Talk Sport.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics, and of course, lots coming up later. In the next hour, we're going to be talking to our favourite airline stewardess, former airline stewardess, who's going to give us the lowdown on what really goes on amongst the cabin crew after a couple of punch-ups have broken out
I like that.
lately. So we'll find out from her what's going on. A couple of nominations for your song that you couldn't think of. One is the best secretly disguised heroin song was the Corals' "Dreaming of You." I don't think that would be one you're thinking of.
No.
How about Baby Blues' "You're Gorgeous"?
You're gorgeous.
You think it was that
You're
one?
gorgeous. Definitely. You're,
Okay. And what about A Whiter Shade of Pale?
Yeah, I'll sing a little bit too.
Right.
You're gorgeous. I love everything about
I'd do
you.
anything for you.
I'd do anything for you.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the
Okay.
one. Yep.
John in Loughton says he's thinking of White Shade of Pale,
No.
which is used at loads of weddings until vicars realise it's drug references and discourage it being used.
Yes, that's right, yeah. Remember we had a friend, or you had a friend in New York who came around one night and he'd written his own version of White Shade of Pale.
Really?
And he brought his tape with him and put it in and bored us to death with it.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Who was that?
I don't know, some guy who came around. Anyway, I'll tell you about it in a minute. Listen, the reason we played the Rolling Stones there is for this reason.
Yeah.
They are starting their new tour in South America,
Are
in
they?
Santiago, in Chile.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So they're posed for a picture, and I want to show you this picture now, and I think it should be given a wider audience. 4 very wrinkled,
That's a
very
great
old-looking
picture.
pensioners.
No, that's brilliant.
Who,
I
to
love
my
that
mi-
picture.
I think it's awful.
No. Why is it awful?
Because these people come from England. If we're exporting geriatric pensioners posing now as rock stars, it is the most terrible thing
Well, they're
I've
not
seen.
posing as rock stars, they are rock stars.
But they should have retired years ago. They
Why?
look terrible. It looks pathetic.
It doesn't look pathetic.
I'm sorry, it
Why
looks
are you
pathetic.
so judgmental about the way people look?
It looks
I mean,
utterly...
if I were you,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be at all judgmental about the way anybody looks.
How about this? Oh, the group who are 72-year-old Keith Richards, 72-year-old Ronnie Wood.
Yeah.
Keith Richards also. Oh no, hang on. Sorry, the group who are Sir Mick Jagger, 72.
Yeah.
Keith Richards also 72.
Yeah.
Ronnie Wood 68, and Charlie Watts 74.
Yeah.
That is 6 years short of 80, by the way. 6 years away from being 80.
Right.
Are still performing more than 50 years after they began their careers. They're kicking off their South American tour in Santiago in Chile.
Well, I think so. Good for them.
Where it's 30 degrees of temperature. They'll probably die on stage,
I
I
don't
would
think
imagine.
so. No, I mean, these guys have lived lives the like of which you and I could never even think of.
I know that.
And they're still alive and they're still going, and I think good luck to them.
I'm sorry, but I just don't think they should be parading around the world as rock stars.
Have you
at
seen
that
Chris
age.
Martin doing his impression of Mick Jagger, by the way?
No, is it good?
Which is very funny.
Is it? Yeah.
Very funny. You know James Corden, he does this carpool karaoke on his show in America.
Right,
where he sits in a car with somebody.
Oh,
and
yes.
He did one with Adele, where they were both singing Adele songs. And he does one with Chris Martin, where he does a very funny impression of Mick Jagger.
Really?
You should see it.
What do they do? They sit in a car and what?
They sit in a car and sing, basically.
What's all that about?
Well, because people sit in cars and sing. You tell them you don't drive down the street and sing.
Yeah,
sometimes.
but I sing to myself. You know, I mean,
Well, no, you sing out loud, though.
Yeah, of course I do.
Yeah,
There's nobody else in the car.
Yeah, but this is when you're in a carpool. That's the whole point of the word, carpool. So people are in the same car together. But the joke is he's in a car with these rock stars.
Oh, I see. OK.
I know it's passing you by, this.
Well, why didn't Chris Martin just sing one of his own songs?
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Lots more coming up. The podcast coming out, of course, a little bit later on today, which will hopefully, for the first time this week, not be completely mangled.
Yeah. Why have you been so,
what are you doing now?
Indolent. Sorry?
What are you doing?
I'm cleaning the
studio. He's actually wiping the top of his cup of tea.
I am, yes.
Why?
Well, because I don't like germs.
Do you really
think
like
germs?
Do you really think that that's going to stop the germs?
No, what I'm saying
You're
is...
using some kind of horrible manky old tissue.
No, I'm not. This is an impregnated...
There's a chip on the cup
tissue.
as well.
Yeah, there is a chip, but I'll just have to get over that.
Yeah.
But the point is that I have no idea where this cup was cleaned, right?
Yeah, well, it was in the dishwasher,
And I'm not casting aspersions on anybody who made the tea or brought the tea in or anything like that. I'm just saying that I prefer to take my own precautions.
Why don't you use wet wipes or something a bit more hygienic?
No, this is, don't worry. This is
Where has that
impregnated.
tissue come from?
That tissue has come from my tissue box, OK?
Your tissue box?
Yes, and it has a disinfectanatory aspect to it, and don't worry about it, OK?
I'm not worried.
I don't know why you have to tell the audience that I take such care on these things.
I'm a bit worried about you being sort of a bit sort of obsessive about these things.
No, I think they will be comforted to know that my public health concerns...
when I go round to your sister's place...
are such a...
So when I go round to your sister's place, you won't object when she
what
hands
do you mean, my
me...
sister's place?
Well, when we're down in Bournemouth, right?
What makes you think I'm going to invite you round to my sister's place?
Well, you told me you were going to take me around there.
What?
You did. You said that yesterday.
Oh, come off.
So when she hands me a glass...
She wouldn't have people like you in her house.
So when she hands me a glass of something or a cup of something, right, whether it's tea or wine or champagne or whatever it is, she won't object if I take a tissue out of my pocket and start wiping around the rim.
Well, if you want to, but I can assure you that it will have been cleaned so thoroughly.
Really?
You've got to remember, my sister is a leading home economist.
Is she?
She has spent her life in kitchens, stately homes, food banqueting, all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So you won't find anybody who keeps a cleaner home than my sister for all those reasons. Okay?
Now let me read you a couple more texts and tweets that have come in over the course of the last little while.
Yes.
There's one from on the subject of whether people would want to watch
drink tea,
TV.
by the way, don't we, to keep our throats
well, I drink tea just because I like the taste of it.
I drink it to keep my throat lubricated.
Do you?
To give me talking capacity.
Is that why you drink Pinot Grigio as well?
Well, I don't drink Pinot Grigio when I come in here.
No. Funnily enough, somebody suggested this, and I don't know whether it's allowable
Yeah.
on national radio, on the airwaves, is that one week we should do a quiz about wine tasting.
Okay.
But I don't know if we're allowed to do that.
Of course we're allowed to do it.
I think is there not some rule that says you're not allowed to drink alcohol or something?
No, it's not. As long as you're not intoxicated and therefore insulting the audience.
So should
or
we
being
do
wayward.
we could do a wine tasting then?
We could definitely do a wine tasting. We'll set that up in the next week or so.
All right.
Now, what are you going to read
this
me?
is from Si, who says, my son would rather go and watch Gillingham, where he is a season ticket holder, than watch any other team. He's a proper fan, unlike Porky.
No, that's quite good. What do you mean, a proper fan unlike Porky?
Well, because you were making the argument that a Rochdale fan would much rather possibly be tempted to watch Manchester United on the television. Mal says this, I'm so happy I'm on the other side of Iowa for Porkyvision.
The other side of Iowa?
Yeah, because I was saying earlier that it's best TV review this side of Iowa.
No, it is, yeah.
So he's now
indeed.
saying he won't be able to hear it because on the other side of Iowa.
And of course, you nominated Iowa because it's been in the headlines recently.
Kevin says carpool karaoke is brilliant entertainment. UK TV is Mr. Trick.
Yeah, okay. And is it just James Corden who does this, or do people in America do it all the time?
Well, no, it's James Corden's show.
Right, okay.
You know, he's in a big show in America, which is very
yes, I know that. Yeah,
successful.
Very successful.
Right?
And did he invent it?
Yes, he did.
He invented it.
It's like a little feature on his show.
Okay.
And he's basically, because he's so friendly with a lot of sort of UK pop stars.
Exactly.
Which I don't know if you'd call Chris Martin and Adele pop stars, but, you know, so he gets them on and it's very good.
Yeah.
A couple of people have suggested
She's very wealthy, isn't she, Adele?
Very wealthy,
She's made about $68 million so far.
She has.
Yeah.
Perfect Day is another heroin song.
Perfect Day. I don't know too much about that one.
You don't know Perfect Day?
No, but I don't want to.
It's a Lou Reed song.
A Lou Reed song.
And also, Self-Esteem is by The Offspring. That's
Self-Esteem.
also about drugs as well.
OK, that's excellent. I'm glad to know all that.
And Kieran says, Porky, your crazy ramblings are giving me a headache.
What?
Thanks, La.
Well, take some paracetamol or something like that. That's what people take.
Paracetamol?
Yeah, paracetamol.
Yeah.
Paracetamol. Now, listen, I just want to tell you something. You mentioned Adele. No, I mentioned Adele. You did.
No, you
and
did.
then I told you how wealthy she
Right.
is. Have you, excuse me, ever heard of Elizabeth Holmes?
Elizabeth Holmes. No.
Now, she is the world's youngest self-made female billionaire.
Is she?
How about that?
Really?
And it was her birthday yesterday. Guess how old she is?
I don't know.
32.
OK.
Now, you know, this to me is utterly incredible.
Yeah.
And,
how has she made her money then?
Well, I want somebody to look this up and tell me. Her name is Elizabeth Holmes, Holmes,
Yeah.
right? You can look it on your information device.
My information device, yeah, OK.
Holmes.
Yeah.
She is the world's youngest self-made female. How do you become a billionaire at the age of 32? Here you are. It says she's chief executive of diagnostics company Theranos.
Theranos.
T-H-E... I'm
Well,
trying
you
to pronounce
say
it.
it like a 5-year-old.
Theranos.
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 There's a picture of her here. She's from Washington, D.C.
Oh, well, there you go. So what?
You said she was British.
Oh, I thought she was. Is she not?
No,
okay.
she's an American.
So how has she made her money?
Well, I could. It sounds like a sort of Silicon Valley type thing.
Well, not
she
in
lives
Washington, D.C.
Well, she's from Washington, D.C.
Right.
She lives in Palo Alto now.
Palo Alto. That's where actually all the microchip billionaires live, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying. It's in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
So it's obviously some kind of a high-tech business.
Okay.
She used money that her parents had saved for her education to establish real-time cures in Palo Alto.
Right.
Basically, it's an amalgam of therapy and diagnosis.
What?
It's supposed to be a blood testing device that she's managed to come up with, right?
Well, yeah.
Using microfluidics technology.
So she's made herself a billionaire by inventing a new way to take a blood test?
Yeah.
Is that right?
It looks that way.
So what has she done then? She sold this to all the police forces across America or something?
She's managed to collect something like $400 million from investors in order to promote this particular business. And, supposedly she's tried to secure a partnership with the US military.
Yeah.
But that didn't work out too well because apparently they said that they'd cast doubt on some of her claims.
Some of her discoveries.
Yeah.
So this woman is so brilliant, she rings up people and says, "Hi, my name's Elizabeth. I'm going to develop a new blood test.
Yeah.
Can you send me $50 million? And loads of people have done.
Well, because I think, the problem with a lot of these startups...
This woman's a genius.
Lots of these... Well, I mean, she's a woman after your own heart, isn't she?
Exactly.
You just, fleece the public and tell them anything that they want to hear, and away you go and put the money in the bank.
Well, I was about to say, a few years back, when the FMP was active, the first Mrs. Parry list, right, she would have gone right to the top, believe me.
Well, I think she might be cleverer than you, though, and I think she'd probably see through your nonsense.
Oh, yeah.
But how about this?
Go on.
Although Theranos was valued at $9 billion by some of its investors, which have valued her personal
$9
stake...
billion,
They valued her personal stake at $4.6 billion. The Economist has said that some of these startups can actually wind up being worth nothing.
Right,
so it's all a bit of a fantasy. So
Well, I mean, is she a billionaire or not?
Well, I think she's one of these paper billionaires, perhaps.
Right, yeah.
And it may well be that the company will not actually be as successful as she's predicted it to be.
Have you seen a picture of her? She's very attractive.
Yeah, she's all right.
So you put together the fact she's very attractive. She's 32. She's got 4.6 billion quid or dollars.
Yeah. Well, she's obviously got money. I don't know whether she's actually going to have that much money.
Yeah, but I mean, do we know anything more about this invention of hers? How do you devise a new way to take a blood test?
Well, she says that she wanted to have a career in medicine, but the problem that she had was that she couldn't stand a sight of blood or needles. So she's devised this other form of testing, the blood, which apparently doesn't involve either of those.
And you don't see the blood?
No, you don't see vials of blood.
Do you think that's where they got the plot of Doc Martin from?
No.
Why?
Well, what's the plot of Doc Martin about?
Don't you watch Doc Martin?
No, I've never seen it.
You don't watch Doc Martin?
I've never seen it.
I've done a Porky review on Doc Martin.
Yeah, I know
it's
you
very,
have.
very good.
Well, you said it was rubbish in the first time you reviewed
Well,
it.
it was sometimes, but sometimes it's good.
Right.
And the whole plot is about the fact that he was a top surgeon in a London hospital who suddenly got an aversion to blood, and therefore he had to give up cutting people open because blood was flowing all over the place.
Yeah.
And he went down to Cornwall, to this little town in Cornwall, beautiful town in Cornwall, built on the edge of a cliff, and is now a GP, but balks every time he has to do something that involves blood.
It seems apparently that her technology supposedly just pricks your finger and takes a few drops of blood rather than taking a whole vial.
Right.
That way, and because prior to this you couldn't test small amounts of blood.
And simply by inventing
But the FDA have said that a lot of these claims are actually not approved.
So
she's a bit of a shyster by the sounds of it.
But people have still sent her $400 million.
Well, the company is valued at $9 billion.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
You know.
So loads of companies have thought, we must get in on this, it's brilliant. Send her $25 million.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's brilliant. Look, you and I have got to...
Get me Elizabeth Holmes.
That's right. We've got to come
Well,
across...
maybe you could come up with some kind
That's what I'm going to say.
invention.
We've got to come up with some sort of invention, ring up, all the rich people in this country and say, could you send us a couple of million quid and we'll make you billionaires?
Yeah, I'm not sure they'd look at your and my history and decide that we're actually scientific geniuses, though.
What about a new way of drinking wine? Pour it in your ear.
Yeah, and here's a device that everybody can use. Yeah. Well, you never know. This is Talk Sport.
The kitchen has changed, and with up to 40% off a selection of ready-to-fit Wix kitchens, you can enjoy a new one in no time. Plus cabinets from as little as £25 and worktops from £35. Is it time to change yours? Wix. Let's do it right. For offer details, visit wix.co.uk.
Pack more style into your life with the spacious new Mini Clubman. 6 doors, seating for 5, a flexible folding rear seat design, and enough boot space for your matching luggage. Or the complete record collection and retro chairs that just said, "Buy me." The stylishly spacious new Mini Clubman. Everything that makes you stand out fits right in. Book a test drive at your nearest Mini Centre or mini.co.uk/space. Test drive is subject to status and availability.
When you need all the latest form and odds on all the day's sporting action and you need it fast, you need the Coral Daily Download. Get all the latest news and great offers on all the big games and all the biggest race meetings in one essential package. Delivered to your ears at the speed of sound. Don't miss the Coral Daily Download every morning on the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast from 6 on Talk Sport with Coral. Your best bet for breakfast.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast.
Alan Brazil, the Ipswich legend. Really?
The small...
I'm just saying that, a bit ancient.
Bit ancient?
Yeah.
What have you got against all these people? How about reading this from Richard in Swindon?
Okay.
So, Porky, the Stones should retire at their age. What happens when you still want to broadcast on Talk Sport? We're in your 70s. If people still want to pay to see them...
That's perfectly acceptable.
It's none of your business.
That is perfectly acceptable.
Hashtag Drivelmeister.
But prancing round on a stage with an electric guitar swung round your neck. I read, by the way, this week that, the two great longevity members of Status Quo, Parfitt and... Who is it? Rick Parfitt.
Parfitt.
Yeah, and who's the other guy?
I can't remember the other guy's name.
One of them's blonde and the other one's not.
Yeah.
I got on a plane with them once to Holland.
Did you?
Yeah, an easy jet flight, something like that. We were all sitting at the back together.
Right.
That's what they were doing.
Hey, have you seen that easy food store that's opened
25p
up, by the way?
for everything in there.
You should go there and check it out.
I don't think so.
It's your kind of place.
Anyway,
you're always hanging around in the bargain aisle of the supermarket, aren't you?
No.
Yeah, you are. You're just telling me that.
Just getting back to lost me drift now. Perfect Day. What did that lead to? Songs about drugs.
Perfect. Yeah, we were talking about songs about heroin.
Yeah, heroin.
You're talking about Golden Brown.
Golden Brown. Yeah, but then I developed it. Oh yes, I know. The Stones should not be prancing around on stage when they're 74 years of age, 6 years short of 80. Yeah, but I'm saying that I read this week somewhere that Rick Parfitt and the other guy, you know what I'm talking about, Francis Rossi, thank you, are giving up touring because they can no longer cope with having an electric guitar slung around their neck.
Why?
The energy you need to play it is leaving them. Their arms are no longer,
because they're too old, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Right. They're getting too old to play
all the more reason.
guitar.
Well, all the more reason why Keith Richards should be lauded, and Ronnie Wood as well,
not in
for
my
having
view.
been able to still do that, given what their lives have been like.
Okay, now I've got a very offensive tweet here from a fellow called Bill. I don't know why he suddenly got offensive. But he says, "Oh, yes, let's talk about another billionaire. Nobody cares, Porky. You're a plank. Man of the people, my anus. You're a snobby git."
You don't have to read that word out.
Well, he didn't say that.
word.
He didn't say that. He didn't say it. Anus is acceptable.
Well, it's not, no, actually.
He said S, if you see what I mean. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'd rather you didn't say the other A word either.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
I don't think it's a good word to say on the radio.
All right, posterior.
Yeah, that would be better. Well, backside, how about that?
All right, my backside, my posterior. Yeah, well, you know what I mean.
By the way,
Anyway,
Status Quo's tour is continuing through the summer, apparently.
Yes, it is, and it's the last one.
No,
They're giving it up after that.
But do you believe that, though? That's what they all say.
Of course I do. Of course I believe it.
No, it's not, because that's what happens. That was a Frank Sinatra, right?
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra, how many comeback tours did he do? This will be the last ever show. David Bowie in 1972 at Hammersmith Odeon announced that the concert that he was involved in there with Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars would be the last ever concert that he was ever going to do.
Yes.
And I mean, what happened?
What happened?
Well, he didn't stop touring. He just stopped touring as Ziggy Stardust.
I think they get withdrawal symptoms, don't they, when they get off the road? And all that, oh, where's the applause of the crowd and all that?
And it's a weird lifestyle as well.
Think we'll never get like that?
No. I don't think so.
You think so?
No, I don't think so.
So, how many shows are we going to do this year then?
Well, probably about 10 or so.
About
maybe.
10, yeah, that's good.
Something like that.
Yeah, I'm okay without that. Now
they're still in the process of getting them all nailed down.
Yeah. Talking about those guys from Status Quo.
Yes.
Right. Now, although when we go down to Bournemouth, I may be able to wangle an invitation for you around to the family mansion.
Excellent.
Maybe to, as far as the kitchen anyway, so have a glass of wine
I
in
don't
the
mind
kitchen.
hanging around the tradesman's entrance.
Yeah, well,
that's
what
the
that's what I'm talking about, yeah.
I'll just stand out there.
But before...
Because I'll be out there smoking anyway.
Well, you see, this is what will worry me.
Yeah.
Now, before my said sister, she's my younger sister, moved down there, they lived in Purley. And
Purley Squire, famous place. Say no more.
Yeah, exactly. Purley is a suburb of South London, just south of Croydon, to those who are looking.
Is it a suburb of South London? Is it not really a suburb of Surrey?
Yes, it is actually, but it's just beyond South London. If Croydon is South
London,
London,
look at this picture.
South Croydon and then Purley. There you go. That's it. Yeah, the Status Quo.
I don't think we should ever pose in a picture like that, should we?
Don't think we'll pose naked with a guitar in front of our private parts.
Right.
But there we are. But anyway, point of the story is, she lived in a road in Purley, and 2 roads away, one of the Status Quo guys lived. And I think it was Francis Rossi.
Okay.
But it didn't matter, because the other one was always round there, right? And what they used to do, and they were much younger men then, I'm going back maybe 30 years, right? They used to take a lot of cocaine together. This is a well-documented story.
This is where they used to throw themselves down the stairs and all that, right?
Well, they used to run into the brick wall,
Yeah.
and if it with their heads down, you know what I mean. And if it hurt, they thought they hadn't taken enough cocaine in order to inspire themselves to write music and new songs and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
If it didn't hurt, they knew they were there, but they did end up with a lot of bleeding heads. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's the way they used to motivate themselves and do it. Now, I can't ever see us going through that routine before we go on stage.
Not
Can you?
really, no.
No,
No,
I wouldn't have thought so.
fancy running my head into a wall.
No,
I don't mind
no.
running your head into a wall. Maybe we could try it that way. And if I keep ramming your head into a wall long enough, you'll start making some sense.
I mean, that is so pathetic, honestly. That is so
Well, I
pathetic.
can judge the amount of Pinot Grigio you did yesterday. If it didn't hurt you, you'd obviously be too drunk to go on stage.
Utterly pathetic.
Now, how about this? This is a great one from M.
Right.
It says, why doesn't Porky propose an internet sports station as a way to get investment to become a billionaire?
Well, funny you should say that, but I already tried that in TV.
How did that go?
Not well.
No. Well, I think that's his point. I think he's being slightly
I
kind
see.
of ironic.
You're being a bit sarcastic there, but okay. Well, I was going to say that if you decide to be brave and take the leap and go off and start a business which you hope will make you a multi-millionaire,
right?
You can't cry over spilt milk if it goes wrong, I'm afraid.
But it's like these stories that you see, isn't it, about some of these young kids who develop an app that suddenly has been taken up by a couple of million people and they become millionaires overnight.
Yes, that's
and
right.
It's always that situation where you go, I wish I'd thought of that.
Yeah, of course you do. But a lot of it happens by mistake.
Yeah,
people just kids in their bedroom just playing around with something. And that's how all these great. I get fascinated by reading the history of America from people who invented the main tenant of American society.
Have you read USA by John Dos Passos?
No, I don't think so.
You should.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Henry Ford and, the motor industry, okay? I'm talking about, we've talked about this before, the Esso Company, Rockefeller.
Right.
And all this
Well, that's what USA is. It's all about the kind of, the historic founding fathers of America.
Well, it's brilliant. We look back on them and we say they are the founding fathers. Yeah. But, of course, in 50 or 60 years' time, people will look back on people like Zuckerberg and the guys who created Twitter and the guys who created mobile phones.
Bill Gates, etc.
Bill Gates, thank you, Microsoft and all that.
Yeah.
In the same way as we look at the founding fathers
Maybe
of
Elizabeth
America.
Holmes, you never know.
Maybe Elizabeth Holmes,
But I'm amazed that when you were a
business.
child, because you were always trying to come up with sort of money-making enterprises, weren't you?
Yes.
You were always kind of trying to cut corners here and there.
I wasn't. I used to go out and do a paper round and got paid for my labour.
No, I know. But later you decided to, go into slightly darker areas and, get involved in the old diesel smuggling business and
more risky areas.
Well, yeah, and the kind of, the bootleg White's lemonade truck and all that kind of stuff. But I'm amazed that you didn't kind of come up with some kind of amazing invention that you could have then pushed onto the great British public.
Well, I tried a few times. You're absolutely right. That was the Corona pop wagon, by the way, not the White's lemonade.
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay.
You might have drunk White's lemonade. I drunk the real stuff.
I've never really been a lemonade fan, to be honest. Becky says this: I thought Porky was going to patent and mass manufacture his independent information device holder. Billionaire device, hashtag coat hanger.
Yeah, no. I mean, that was just a prototype, and you can see that on Two Mics TV on YouTube.
You can.
And I hope somebody who is an inventor will have a look at it, realise that it's got potential, and come back to me, and yes, we'll try and patent it, no doubt about it.
Indeed. Now, Derek in Pencoed says this. A message for Porky. At least Jagger and Co have been able to sing, unlike him. He is so judgmental, he could live to be 100 and never be able to sing. Talking about you.
Yeah, but I'm not a professional singer.
No.
I'm just a very good amateur singer. Those guys...
I wouldn't describe you as very good.
Those guys are professional musicians, but there's nothing else they could do. They couldn't do our job.
Well, I don't know about that.
They could not do our job.
Ronnie Wood won a Sony, didn't he?
Yeah, but that was for putting a few records onto a turntable.
For a show that he did on Six Music, I think it was.
Yeah, that was for putting a few records on a turntable, man.
You mustn't be too dismissive of very talented people who can do a lot of different things.
He'd had a tech op and a producer and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think it was just a front for the show, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he's a very entertaining guy, very clever guy.
I'm not denigrating him. He is multi-talented. Have you ever seen his paintings?
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
they're absolutely
artistic. He started doing cover art for his albums back in the sort of late 70s.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's a very clever man. Yeah. And he's had all sorts of exhibitions, and some of his paintings have actually sold for a lot of money.
Have they?
Mick Jagger's been a film star. Mick Jagger has been a film...
hardly.
Well, he has. He's been a film... He's now producing...
Most of his films were not exactly box office busters,
but I mean, the point is that he is a character who can do many different things. He's also now producing a new TV series, which is going to be on Sky, I think, coming out very shortly.
He's co-producer of it. I've seen the credits for it. Yeah.
So,
and what
don't be too hasty.
What does Charlie Watt do when he's not...
Charlie Watts is very big jazz man. When he's not playing with the Stones, he likes to play with his own jazz band.
Okay, yeah.
But he's kind of always been the quiet one, hasn't he?
Yes, and Keith Richard, of course.
Keith Richard's just an amazing character.
We encountered him a few times in New York City, didn't we?
He's just an amazing character. So I'd be very careful not to say that these people couldn't do our job.
No, also, have you been to Santiago in Chile? Because I have. Don't be frightened to see those people on stage.
I think that's a great picture, and I think what you should do is tweet it out and ask people what they think. I think that is a magnificent sort of, if you want, advert for Britain.
I mean, even the headline says, The Strolling Bones.
Yeah, well, that's not very
Still
original,
rocking
is it?
at 286 years of age.
That's also, coming from an organisation that doesn't have much of a sense of humour or imagination.
Yeah. I'll tell you the other thing. This guy, Jagger there, I did my single, Paint It Black, with the...
Your single?
Yes, that's right.
Written by?
Richards and Jagger.
Right.
And
did you ask their permission for that?
No, you didn't have to.
You sure?
And I did it with a group called the Rolling Clones, and the guy who was Mick Jagger was called Mick Jogger.
Right.
And he really camped it up. He was brilliant. I'm not joking. But he looked much older than Mick Jagger, but Mick Jagger looks like him now. He looks like Mick Jogger. He really does. No, he does.
I'm very confused.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, how about this? From Richard in Swindon. Ray Bowie, wrong. Bowie was saying it was the last Ziggy concert. No, he said it was the last concert that we'll ever do. Nobody knew whether it was the last Ziggy concert. They just thought that this was the last Bowie concert. That's why the whole crowd started screaming. And if you used to have the bootleg, as I did, of that particular concert, and a friend of mine was actually at it, you would hear the way that the mood of the audience actually completely changed.
Yeah. So was he saying this is the last appearance of
just
this particular character?
Just before they did.
But not of me.
It was. I mean, he was playing with the what he regarded as the Spiders from Mars, but it was basically the band. It was Mick Ronson. It was David Bowie, and it was the Spiders from Mars tour. And just before he did Rock and Roll Suicide, which was the last song of the set, he said, "Not only is this the last song." Not only is this the last show of the tour, but it is the last show that we'll ever do. And those were his words.
Right.
And everyone thought that means David Bowie's never playing live again.
Right, I see. But he meant the Spiders from Mars would never play live again. Yeah.
And then he reinvented himself as somebody else
again. Yeah, I've been reinventing myself ever since the 20s. I have.
The 1920s?
No, ever since my 20s, you fool.
Oh, right, OK. What are you now, then?
Hey?
What have you reinvented yourself as now?
I'm a selective broadcaster.
Selective?
Yeah.
OK. So I don't know what that means. This is Talk Sport.
Matchday Live on Talk Sport.
What a fantastic strike!
Join Adrian Durham and get all the goals as they go in with live commentary of Southampton versus West Ham.
And it's killed in by Zarate!
Matchday Live, Saturday from 1 on Talk Sport.
I like pleasure spiked with pain, and music is my aeroplane. It's my aeroplane. Songbird sweet and sour Jane, and music is my aeroplane. It's my aeroplane. Pleasure spiked with pain. That mother always spiked with pain.
This is It's Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Lots more coming up. I've got a great text here from Ian in Rossendale.
Oh, yes.
It's coming on 8:10:89.
Rossendale in Lancashire. I love Lancashire.
Do you know it well?
I know it very well.
Rossendale? What's it famous for?
Rossendale is famous for...
Is it outside of Manchester? Or
it's
where?
just outside of Manchester, and it's on the moors, towards the moors.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's all right. Well, that's it.
Yeah.
He says, I think ramming Porky's head against the wall is arguably your best idea ever.
Oh, that's very nice, isn't it? Thank you. So you're promoting violence against
Not
me?
at all.
Against the
Not
person.
at all. It was just a suggestion apropos what you'd said about status quo. Now, you might remember a few months ago we talked to Sean Kathleen for the first time.
We certainly did.
She used to work in the airline business. She's now somebody who talks an awful lot about the
Could be a
stuff
consultant about the airline business.
She could indeed. She knows a lot about travelling. She knows a lot about the things that air crew get up to. There was a story this week about a punch-up on a Delta Airlines flight, I think it was. I don't know if you saw that, between two members of the air crew. They were actually two female stewards, which I believe is the correct nomenclature for them now. Anyway, let's talk to Sean Kathleen right now. Sean, a very good morning to you.
Well, likewise. I've missed you, boys.
Have you?
Well,
you know,
missed you as well.
You can always listen to us while we're not actually putting you on as a guest. Do you? Oh, excellent. Well, I'm very glad to hear it.
Absolutely.
Very glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Well, we really enjoyed
and the nomenclature, it's the correct, proper term in the United States. We say flight attendant.
You say flight attendants, okay. And that's sort of a gender neutral, isn't it? Which is what we're all about these days.
Exactly.
Because we don't want to be sexist,
Very
of course.
PC.
Yes, absolutely right. Now, what about this fight with the two flight attendants on Delta Airlines that was revealed this week anyway? I mean, is that
Shocking
something that goes on a lot more than we know about?
Well, first of all, I swear to God it was not me, okay? It was not me.
Yeah.
So, as you guys know, it gets rough up there. It's not pretty. It's not a pretty sight. And, it's like a huge pressure cooker. It's massive.
Yeah. I mean, do people behave differently? I mean, we've heard stories about, flight attendants and the things that can happen to them physically. And for example, if you're on the same flight crew for a while, the women all start to get their periods at the same time and that kind of thing. I mean, because you're spending so much time in what you call, in a high altitude environment. I mean, does it mess up your brain?
Absolutely, it does. Yes, I mean, so can you imagine? You understand how stressful it is when you travel, right? So, you're going to have to go through security. You got to park 4 miles away. You have to do the whole shebang, with the luggage and all that stuff. Sorry.
Don't say it.
I caught myself. So just imagine doing that every day, and that's part of your ritual, as a flight crew member. So that's something that you do daily.
Right.
We have to do, and I say we, I'm a former flight attendant, but we have to do that every single day. Go through all of that, all of the stressors, and obviously, I like to be sarcastic and say like, oh well, we all know, flying is the least stressful thing anybody could do. But it's a nightmare. So can you imagine, like, if you have to do it every day?
Sure.
And like you said.
Sure.
What, all the women may be on the period? Who knows?
Well,
I don't know.
Let me put a couple of scenarios to you. We don't know why this fight happened, do we, on this Delta Airlines plane?
It was something to do with work patterns, apparently.
Yeah, okay, you say work patterns, but I'm going to put two suggestions to you. Firstly, it could be that the two female flight attendants were currying for favour with the captain because, of course, he is. I'm assuming the captain of the plane was a man. And
but see, you may be wrong about that.
Yeah, I may be wrong, but I'm assuming that's one theory. The other,
they do let women fly planes now. It's so
of course
weird.
they do. Of course they do. So, but I'm saying if it was the
and they
captain,
even let men serve the drinks,
or the vice captain, of course they do. Or the second scenario, which I have in my brain because I've done a lot of flying, long haul, and all that kind of stuff, is that. Maybe these two female flight attendants were in fact fighting over currying favour with a wealthy male passenger. Who was sitting in business or first class, who was, flirting maybe with one of them, and the other one decided...
Hang on, it was only going from Los Angeles to Salt Lake City.
Yeah, well, I don't care, man. That doesn't bother me. I mean, that's, you can...
I don't think anyone wants to go out with anyone who lives in Salt Lake City. It's the most boring place on earth.
How do you know he lived in Salt Lake City?
Well, because he was flying there.
Well, he might have lived in Los Angeles. He might be flying to Salt Lake City to do some business with the Mormons or something like that.
If you've got a lot of money and you live in LA, you take a private jet to Salt Lake City.
No, I don't agree.
Sorry about this, Sean. broadcasting.
But anyway, Sean, what I'm saying is, did those sort of things happen on aeroplanes? You know, there's a lot of jealousy up there, isn't there?
Absolutely, and I quite like the latter scenario.
Right.
That's a good one. Fighting over like.
I had a
really
friend
hot
actually.
guy.
I had a friend a while ago when TWA. This is how long ago it was when TWA was still going. And she was a TWA flight attendant in a first class cabin.
Right.
And she regularly used to tell me tales of guys that she had, shall we say, become familiar with after the flight.
Yes.
And she used to happily target them. You know, in fact, one of them was a rock star who she later told me infected her with something which I can't reveal on the air.
You don't hear that. This is a family show.
But she also told me another great story, and this one may be familiar to you, where the crew were all staying in London overnight.
Yes.
And when they all went to get in the bus in the morning, you know, the sort of minibus to take them back to the airport to get on the next flight, one of the guys was missing. One of the stewards.
Yeah.
And in the end, they waited for him, and in the end, they had to go and try and find him in his room. And when they found him in his room, he was tied up, face down on the bed, naked.
Terrible. Yeah.
And it was all very embarrassing.
Yeah, something had happened.
Something had happened.
And he hadn't been robbed or anything.
No.
No, well, I don't think we want to get into that.
Something had happened to him.
No. But, Sean, in your experience, in your long experience and your consultancy work since, are you aware, or do you have any tales of female flight attendants who, in fact, gave up the job when they did marry a rich passenger?
Absolutely. I know I keep saying absolutely, but yes.
Yeah. Well, what about old Pippa Middleton's mother?
Well, yeah. Well, she was known as Doors
Oh,
to.
that's right.
She was known as Doors to Manual because in royal circles, it's not thought to be a terribly sophisticated job. So whenever they're standing around in a royal palace,
this comes from people with no jobs.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Whenever she's standing around they're standing around a royal palace, and she enters the room, they all mutter behind their hand, "Doors to Manual, doors to Manual." You know, and in a manner which is somewhat disrespectful, but they think that brings her down to earth. So you've actually got friends, have you, or former colleagues, who are now wealthy suburban housewives because they married a passenger on the plane.
Yes. Also, more so, like what I have seen personally is them marrying a captain or a first officer.
Well, there you go. You see, I told you about that, Mike. You dismissed
that happens a lot.
Really?
And then they quit their job. Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
but then, of course, I mean, it's no different from any other office scenario. I mean, more people have office romances with the people they work with.
Yeah.
You know, so if your office happens to be, 35,000 feet up in the air, why would that be any different?
Yeah, but Sean...
Not asking you that.
No.
I'm asking Sean that.
Well, why would it be any different? That's obvious. It's not different.
I'm not asking you.
It isn't. It's just like it's just as if you're in any with any colleague. It's going to happen in the workplace, and I will say it might be more apt to happen in the environment with aviation because you're with your colleagues all day long, every day. You're having meals with them. You know, you're sleeping in not the same bed, but the same.
You're in the same hotel.
Yeah.
The same hotel, you're doing everything together, and you're gone away from your family, and that's your family for an extended period of time, potentially.
Sure. But, Sean, the other thing is, any female flight attendant who marries the captain of the plane surely knows that the captain of the plane, of any plane, has a reputation as a flirtatious man, and therefore it's not safe to marry a captain, is it? Because once you've married him, he may then turn his fanciful eye to another flight attendant, a female flight attendant on another flight.
You're unbelievable, aren't you?
No, I mean, surely...
This is the world in which he lives inside his head.
How dare you?
No, I mean...
How dare you suggest such a thing?
Shocking.
They're so incorrect. There are, the thing, I mean, obviously I'm teasing, but the amount of infidelity in the air is the same as it would be with any work environment.
Really?
It's not anymore. I mean, I understand because maybe it's a little more glamorous and it's great, like, and he has families all over the world and all of that. That's not true. I mean, it's a great Lifetime movie, like on some cheesy TV show, but it doesn't happen.
Yeah. Okay.
And what about the male flight attendants as well? I mean, they have a right to be treated in the same way, don't they? I mean, how does that all work?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it works very well. I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to give you guys a little inside scoop.
Yeah.
If you are a straight man and you want women at your disposal, become a flight attendant.
That's a very good tip.
That's
Thank
a good
you.
job for you.
Yeah, good job.
Because
Can you
all you're
imagine?
doing is working with beautiful,
Yeah.
lovely, women.
Yeah,
I can't
A lot of
imagine
them are
you dressed
single.
up in a uniform. That'd be tremendous.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic, you know.
Right?
Yeah, I mean,
I know.
I'd even learn how to carry a couple of drinks around on a tray.
You'd probably drink the place dry before you got up into,
Why not?
fasten, to unfasten your seatbelt territory.
I'd definitely try
I
to...
remember.
Yeah.
I remember you from a few months ago. I think you would be really good at it.
Oh, yeah, I'd be good at it. Don't worry.
I don't think he's got the looks. He's not tall enough either.
Rubbish. You don't have to be tall to work on an aeroplane. It's better to be 5'9" as I am.
Yeah, you'd have to get help to get the bags out.
Also, I'd steal as much of the booze off the plane as I possibly could and take it home and have loads of parties. Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Listen, Sean, Kathleen, a pleasure to talk to you as ever. Let's not leave it so long until the next time.
Absolutely.
Likewise, sir. And if you could just make sure, hey, passenger shaming is my thing, right?
Yes,
and
yeah.
now it's going gangbusters.
Good.
So even Rolling Stone magazine named our Instagram page one of the best 100 Instagram accounts.
Did they?
So,
Oh, great. Okay.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Tweet
So
us,
definitely check it out.
tweet us a link because I've just tweeted out your Twitter. So tweet us a link and we'll
Oh.
retweet it for you.
Absolutely.
Did you tweet my twatty thing?
We'll
Yeah.
certainly do that.
We certainly
yes.
will.
Steady. Take it easy. I think she's been at the Altar Wine,
Absolutely.
to be honest. Now, I've got a couple of other funny stories to tell you about airlines as well. But how about this from Becky, who says, I flew internal Air New Zealand flight recently. All the crew were female. The sexism and jokes from male passengers were beyond belief.
Really?
Shocking
Well, I
state
think,
of
that
affairs,
is,
that.
I think that is shocking. I wouldn't get involved in that. I'll tell you, I have dignity and respect for women.
Yeah, I know you do.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport.
Left foot, right foot, left. Running would be left foot. So much more fun. Right foot. If it was five-a-side. With Lucas A Power League. Goes round the keeper and blasts it home. Get yourself fit in 2016 and have fun with Lucas A Power League. Book a regular pitch today and get a free ball and bib starter pack worth £75. Get out, get fit, get in. With more locations than anyone else, visit your local centre or powerleague.co.uk.
Mate, are you meditating? What?
I'm at one with a new peace of mind. Because Trustford have now moved to a new purpose-built transit centre in Dagenham. Repairs, maintenance, support, even new and used commercial vehicle sales. Trustford keeps you on the road. They're always there for you, makes you feel loved. And I don't say this often enough, Bob, but I love you.
Leave it out, Dave.
Trustford's transit centre in Dagenham is now open to look after you. Peace.
Oh.
If you fancy a flutter on the football, a gamble on the golf, a double on the darts, or a treble on the tennis, you're in luck. Get closer to the action every weekend with Betway's Man in the Know on the Weekend Sports Breakfast with Georgie Bingham and Mickey Quinn. Bringing you all the form on the football, the going at Goodwood, the tries at Twickenham, and the overs at the Oval. Every Saturday and Sunday morning from 7 on TalkSport with Betway. Bet now at betway.com.
Talk Sport.
Oh, my word!
Fear, aggression, adrenaline, excitement.
Correct.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Wizard of the Dribble.
Make sure you're ready.
Talk Sport.
Up all night global sports entertainment for stable hands, security guards, and people who missed the last train home and woke up in the park getting spooned by a Scottish tramp.
You can sleep in a damp patch. The two mics, Parry and Graham, on Talk Sport.
It's alright, I'm not gonna hurt you.
Sport, we are the two mics. Porkyvision coming up in the next hour. The podcast coming out a little bit later on. Fingers crossed it won't have anything wrong with it for the first time this week, but we'll do our best. I've got a few more tweets to read out to you.
Yeah.
Here's one from, I guess it's from Ian, actually, in Rossendale. In answer to your question, what is Rossendale famous for?
Yes.
Well, the actress Jane Horrocks hails from there, as do Fizz and Chesney from Corrie.
Yeah.
Also, up to about 2 years ago, we had the shortest street in the world at 17 feet long.
Really? That's
and also,
excellent.
we have the longest dry ski slope in England.
Really?
And he says, see you both in Manchester. We'll be in Manchester at the Dance House April the 9th, by the way.
We will indeed, yeah. And the tickets are selling very fast. And that's not a selling point, honestly. I couldn't believe it when I looked at the old site today to see how things were going. And I'm delighted to say that we're going to have a really full house there. So if you want to come and see us, please get in as soon
quick.
as you can. Yeah.
This one from Mal. He says, Porky, how about reinventing yourself as a decent human being?
Sorry, who's that from?
From Mal.
Oh, Mal.
That's a
Oh,
great
Mal,
one. That.
thank you for your contribution
Tremendous.
to the show. Don't bother applying again.
He said, knowing you, that would be impossible. And then, it's great that the Stones can tour, says Peter, at 70-something, but it would be nice if they actually produced something new for once.
Well, I totally agree.
Well, I mean, they've probably got an album out with it, haven't they?
Yeah, but I mean, name me one song that the Stones have written which has been successful since, I would say, 1975.
Well, Doom and Gloom, which came out
Never heard of it.
with their last album release, got reasonably high in the charts.
Did it?
Yeah.
I mean, the last one that I can remember of any consequence was Brown Sugar. And again, that was about heroin,
it was in the
wasn't
70s.
it? Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, but I'm telling you.
No, it wasn't about heroin.
I would say that the Stones haven't written a decent record in 45 years.
Not true.
Right?
No, it's not true.
All right, 40 years then.
Well, let's see. I'll have to go look up their releases of all their albums, but they've done some pretty decent stuff.
The last
some of
really-
their albums haven't been as good as their older
The last
ones.
really good one I remember was when you and I were in America, and it was something of the night, Undercover of the Night.
Undercover of the Night,
which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah.
I thought it was really brilliant. A great video with it as well.
I didn't like that particular song.
Didn't you? Oh,
No.
I did. I thought it was brilliant. I loved it. It's full of mystery and all that kind of stuff. It was a dark song written by Keith Richards.
Well, it wasn't very dark.
Yeah,
what about,
it was.
Harlem Shuffle? That was quite...
Yeah, but they didn't write that. Wasn't their song.
No, but it was one of their releases, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
well, it was one of their releases,
Quite
man. But it was a
successful.
cover version, wasn't it, of a soul song written in about the 1940s or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, well,
you know,
maybe.
do the Harlem Shuffle, do the
Bridges to
Harlem
Babylon was their
Shuffle.
last sort of album that
It was, yeah.
probably quite successful in 97.
Yeah, you're right.
Voodoo Lounge 1994. Steel Wheels, that was 89.
Yeah, I know, but
Tattoo You 81.
But name me one great single off any of those.
Well, Start Me Up was a great song.
Start Me Up.
Start Me Up
That
was
was
a
all
terrific
right.
song.
Now listen, you know that.
That was when I saw that. It was a tour I saw them on at
was
Wembley
it?
Stadium.
Oh, really? Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Now,
It
you
was
know
when
that.
my ex-wife punched a Hell's Angel.
Oh, really?
Told you
Yeah.
that story,
Why
didn't
did she punch a Hell's Angel?
Well, because we were trying to get out of the crowd because what
Right.
happened was we were on the pitch.
Yes.
And there'd been a whole host of bands that had come
Yes.
on, including, I think, Jay Giles' band and Black Uhuru, who were
Right.
great, right? And so as soon as the Stones came on, the crowd kind of surged
Surged forward, yeah.
and we were all just standing, and it became slightly kind of claustrophobic and,
Right.
and crushed.
Yeah, rather
and
worrying.
she wanted to get out. So basically, I was leading her sort of out of the side, but
Yes.
and most people were just kind of parting to let us go out, you know,
Right.
so that we could get onto the track.
Yes.
Where it would be a bit easier to watch.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, as I was walking sort of towards this, I saw this group of kind of like bikers
Yes.
or something, and they were male and female bikers. And as
But
they
not with their bikes.
well, not their bikes, no,
No,
because
no.
we were inside the
Yeah,
Wembley
exactly.
Stadium.
Yeah. I didn't know whether
But
they
they
were
were all
allowed
in-
to bring their bikes in.
No, I don't think so. They're all in
No.
leathers, right?
Yeah.
And as I was walking past them, there was this guy who tried to trip me up.
Why?
Because he was just being a complete another idiot,
Yeah.
I presume.
Yeah.
And he stuck his foot out, and I kind of stumbled, but I didn't fall over.
Yeah.
And I just sort of turned around and went, well, it was a pretty stupid thing to do.
Yeah.
And like sort of put my face in his face. She by this time had walked beyond me.
Yes.
And he suddenly sort of whirled around and went to punch me. And, you know, pushed me. His hand was like back like this,
Yeah.
as if he was going to hit me with a great big haymaker.
Poised to strike
And
you in the face.
And in one move, my ex-wife pulled me out of the way and just shoved him.
Yeah.
And he fell over because he was unbalanced. And
Right.
he was probably a bit drunk.
Yeah.
And then we scalpered.
Right, so she didn't actually punch the guy.
Well, no, she kind of hit him in the
Yeah,
chest with
yeah.
her hand.
Excellent.
And he fell over.
Good.
And we scarpered out to the track, so
Bit
she
like,
saved me from being hit by a Hell's Angel.
A bit like Mrs. Murdoch in the House of Commons when she saved Rupert Murdoch from a...
From the pan man, the flan man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
See,
I was very proud of her.
Yeah,
It was
excellent.
great.
Now, as we entered this part of the show, there was some
Which
theme
part of the
music.
show is this?
The one we're in now.
Right.
There was a bit of music, right?
Yes, there was.
Do you know what the music was?
It was the theme tune from Miami Vice.
I
wasn't
know, amazing, wasn't it? Miami Vice all those years ago.
Who wrote that?
Van somebody, some Dutch guy.
You thinking of Van Gellis?
No, not Van Gellis, but it was...
Van Morrison?
No, not Van Morrison. He was Irish, actually.
Van Dyke?
No, not Van Dyke. He was a painter. You know what I'm saying? It was some Dutch guy. It was some Dutch guy. It was called Sonny's Theme.
Was it the
wasn't
Focus guy?
No, it wasn't Hocus Pocus Focus.
Focus was the band.
Focus was the band, and they wrote a song called Hocus Pocus by Focus.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah, and it wasn't them either. But anyway, the reason we played that...
Yeah, why was that?
Well, it's because, according to my travel journals, right, and I get them sent to me all the time...
Travel journals?
People know that I spend money on travelling.
You do not spend money on travelling.
Well, I could do if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Miami Beach has now become one of the world's great celebrity hotspots.
Yeah.
And in fact, did you know...
for a long time, no? For a long time it has been.
Well, no, it's becoming much more sophisticated now than it's ever been. 'Cause
Really?
It was a bit seedy, Miami, in the years in the 80s.
Well, not really.
Miami itself was.
Last time I went to South Beach, which was around about, I suppose, early sort of 2003, 4, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very trendy then.
Yeah, but...
That's like 10 years ago, more.
Sure, but Miami Beach is quite separate from Miami, isn't it? And Miami Beach itself, I mean, has always been a smashing resort, but it's now become one of the world's great. And did you know that many of the celebrity clan who for years have sworn by having a house on the beach at Malibu... Or
Malibu.
In California,
IA,
are now moving right across America...
Are they?
To
well,
Miami Beach.
There was a famous island. In fact, I almost got to stay on this island.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when you drive... I don't know if you've ever driven out to Miami Beach.
Yes, I have, yeah.
From downtown Miami.
Yes.
You drive across that amazing sort of causeway.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
And the bridge is built, and it's a wonderful drive. But before you get to South Beach... There's a couple of islands in the middle of it,
right,
which used to be occupied by these massive houses. Well, they still are, but like Jennifer Lopez had a house there.
Yeah.
The Bee Gees had a house there.
Right.
And I had a sort of loose association through somebody whose name I'm not going to mention with the Bee Gees. And at one point we were offered a chance to go and stay there.
Right.
And we never did it.
Why?
Well, because for some reason or other it couldn't be worked out.
What a shame.
I know, it would have been, because
Should've gone there.
literally Jennifer Lopez was at the end of the garden.
And
It was
really?
absolutely incredible. But,
Yes.
but yeah, an amazing part of the world.
But
Very
it's-
sort of Cuban.
Yeah, it's now. I mean, for instance, they've rebuilt all sorts of downtown areas which were wrecked and all that kind of stuff. It's now really
Well,
booming.
Collins Avenue, which is where all the kind of Art Deco hotels
That's right,
are.
yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is the scene, that scene in Scarface.
Sure.
Where the chainsaw attack
Yes,
goes
that's
on.
right, yeah, yeah,
And then he walks
yeah.
downstairs and gets in the convertible, they drive away.
Yeah.
I actually, stayed in a hotel right next door to that
Yeah,
once.
exactly.
Which
It's all there.
which is
I
fabulous.
stayed in the Doral years ago. Is
The
that still
Doral?
there? Yeah. Yeah.
The Doral?
Yeah.
Are you joking?
No, that was the top hotel.
No, it was never.
Was.
No, the
In
Doral.
80s, it
No,
was.
the Doral has no. The top hotel always in Miami Beach is the Hilton Fontainebleau.
Well, I stayed there as well.
No, you didn't.
I did.
No, well, why
I
did you
did.
tell me you stayed in the Doral?
Because I've been there 3 or 4 times.
What's the key sort of theme of the Fontainebleau then?
Fontainebleau?
Tell me what it's famous for.
I believe it's. Let me think. Peacocks.
You have never stayed.
Peacocks.
Peacocks.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Not true.
Well, I've stayed there. Believe me.
Have you?
I've stayed at both, and in fact, I can tell you this for sure. I've still got boxes of matches from both. Because I've got a huge collection of boxes of matches
Why?
from American hotels.
Why?
Oh, just because I was travelling all over the place in those days, and there were matches all
Your
all
place
over the
must
place.
be like the old curiosity shop.
No, it's not
Boxes
at all.
and boxes of old dusty junk.
But I don't know why you're knocking the Doral down. There's nothing wrong with the
No,
Doral.
I would never stay in a Doral.
Oh, well, I
the
did.
Doral is one of the worst hotel chains ever invented.
No, it was great.
It's like a Holiday Inn.
No, it wasn't. The
Rubbish.
Doral on Miami Beach
No,
and
rubbish.
the Fontainebleau Hilton, which I have also stayed in top hotels. I stayed at both of them. Don't worry about that. I was
I'm not
chasing
worried
some
about it.
international
I'm just
criminal.
surprised that you didn't say it first of all.
No, I'm chasing some international
Well, I can tell
criminal
you.
at the
I can
time.
tell you what a different international criminal from you.
Yeah.
I can tell you that the secret success story of the whole Fontainebleau Hotel is that one, Frank Sinatra will stay there, but two, it's got this incredible swimming pool which actually goes in and out of rocks and in and out of caves.
I've probably been in it.
Well, why don't you remember it then?
Well, because I've been to so
Why
many
did you say-
hotels
why did you say
in so many
peacocks?
countries around the world.
Why did you say peacocks?
Because I thought they might have peacocks.
I
Because lots
see.
of hotels I've been to are good hotels with peacocks.
Good hotels with peacocks.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a book. This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. I've got lots and lots of tweets here that we should read out. Mike says, what about The Who? They headlined Glastonbury last year and rocked the place. They were amazing, and they're all pensioners. Well, except for two of them are not actually around anymore, are they?
exactly.
Keith Moon and John Entwistle, no longer actually part of the band. So,
exactly.
I mean, Roger Daltrey can still sing pretty well, and Pete Townsend's still great.
Yeah.
Here's one from Andre, who says, can you two discuss the recent movement of fairly average players to China Super League on big contracts such as Jackson Martinez?
Oh, well, I'll tell you all that about That's a political thing. The Chinese government have now decided that, like some Middle East countries, most particularly Qatar, they want to become a major sporting power.
But they've tried it once already, haven't they?
Oh, yeah.
With the football. When they had Nicholas Anelka and all that.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. But what they've done is, first of all, they've targeted the Olympic Games 2030 to be in China.
Right.
And secondly, they've devised a whole new set of tax incentives to very wealthy businessmen, because China's now got more billionaires than America, right? And they've told them, if you set up football clubs and you attract, the world's great players here, we're giving tremendous tax breaks because we're going to build the sport of football in this country to such a height that when we get, because they're very confident they will, the World Cup in 2030, we're going to have an incredible national team to field made up of Chinese players, obviously, but influenced by the influx.
That's their hope, isn't it?
The influx
Isn't
of
your
Western
mate
players.
Sven still working over there?
Sven's.
Isn't he still in China?
Sven, Goran Eriksson.
There's not a song about him.
Yeah, there is.
By the way, I've just had a note from Steve Lillywhite.
Oh, yes.
Who's listening to you slagging off Harlem Shuffle.
Oh, yes.
He says he produced it.
Yeah, but it was great.
You said it's great.
You talking about the Stones Harlem Shuffle? It was brilliant.
You said it was rubbish.
I didn't
You
say...
said it was a cover version.
I said it was a cover version, but it was the best cover version I've ever heard.
That's not what you
I'll tell you
said.
something. When I was bombed in Libya, right, and eventually I got out 5 days later...
Unfortunately, they missed.
No, I got out 5 days later when the Libyans threatened to send me to Damascus, to Syria.
They want to send you to Coventry.
And we got the last plane out, which was a Luftwaffe plane. Sorry, not Luftwaffe, Lufthansa. Sorry, Lufthansa.
Do you know, I've got I was on a Lufthansa plane once. I'd been flown to Frankfurt because I'd been told I had to get on the one of these Mercy flights.
Sure.
The US Air Force were flying over Bosnia, dropping those military ready-to-eat meals. Right?
Yeah.
And I was coming back from Frankfurt, having been on a successful mission, having flown over Bosnia and all that, did all that father story. And I was sitting on the tarmac at Frankfurt Airport,
right.
And this very nice air steward, I was sitting in first class Lufthansa, and he said, "I'm really sorry about this delay. So would you like some champagne?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." So they had these little splits of champagne.
Yeah.
He brought me a couple of them, and as the time went on, by the time we actually took off, I'd had about 7 of them. Right?
Well done.
He just kept bringing them round.
Good.
And as we were in flight, there weren't that many other people in first class, and he just took a fancy to me, or was liked me. I don't know what. Anyway, he just kept bringing them, and he said, "You know what?" He said, "If you can't drink all these, you should just take them with you."
Take them with you.
And I ended up walking off the plane with about 20 splits of champagne.
Excellent.
Which he'd given me for free.
That's excellent.
Which was brilliant.
My flight was slightly more tense because...
Well, it would have been if it was being run by the Luftwaffe.
No, it's Lufthansa, obviously. But we got down to Tripoli Airport, and they were
this
locking
way
it up.
to the parachute jump.
That's right, yeah. And they were locking it up. And we said to this guy, he was literally locking up the Lufthansa office. It was the last flight out before the Americans were going to bomb the airport, right? And
is this a bit like the end of the Deer Hunter? The last flight out of Saigon?
Yeah, it was a bit like Saigon, the helicopter on the roof of the embassy and all that. And we said, "Look, we've got to come with you." He said, "Who are you?" And we said, "We're from the British Press, from the Daily Express, Daily Mail." He said, "Look, let me see if I can help." And he said, "Come on, guys, 2-seat." And we got on, and as the plane took off, you thought, wow, thank God for that. And Derek Hudson was sitting next to me.
Oh, yeah.
And he had his Sony Walkman.
Yeah.
And for some unknown reason, he said, "Here, listen to this." And he gave it to me and put headphones on. And it was the Stones' Harlem Shuffle.
Was it?
And it was, and it's remained with me ever since.
Right. Well, I don't understand why you slagged it off then.
I'm not slagging it off.
You did slag it off.
No, what's the name of this guy who said I've slagging it off?
Steve Lillywhite.
Right, Steve. Now, Steve, if you're listening now, can I tell you this? It's got the greatest...
What's the name of this guy?
It's got the... No, I know who it is. I just want to double check I'm calling him the right name, Steve. It's got the greatest...
Like Steve Perryman.
No, it's got the greatest intro to that record I've ever heard because it builds up and then stops and then starts again and it's brilliant. I've got great memories of it.
Really?
I wasn't slagging it off. I was saying they didn't write it, that's all.
The greatest piece of backpedaling I think I've ever heard this year.
Not at all.
How about this from Rob? Porky's an air steward. He'd end up getting bladderated, turning off the movie and start singing. Hashtag thrown off the plane with no parachute.
Well, people might want to sing with me. Look, I've got an amazing fact to tell you, right?
Go on.
I have to share this with our listeners. It's incredible. Did you know that yesterday a judge finally ordered that Lord Lucan could be declared dead?
No, that completely passed me by, despite the fact that it was the top item on every news channel for the entire day, and the fact that it's on the front pages of every newspaper.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
yes.
so I did know about it.
So,
and so does everybody else.
So two
and
nights
this is
ago,
a day after you
Yes.
apparently claimed
Exactly.
that he was eaten by man-eating lions.
I didn't claim
Which turned out to be a tiger.
I didn't claim that. What I said was the latest theory is that he was shot himself. He was ordered to shoot himself. He did because he's a gentleman, and then was thrown.
I'll tell you what I was struck by.
Hang on, just let me finish, please.
All right, go on.
This is very important,
Oh,
right?
okay, all right.
So the point is that was the latest theory. Theories abound, but as a consequence of him now being registered as dead by a judge, okay?
Yeah.
Guess what's happened? The Times of London, the Thunderer, have waited all those years.
What, to run an obituary?
Yeah.
Have they?
And this morning, as you open the paper, they're running the obituary on Lord Lucan.
Right.
It is incredible.
That is. One of the things I was struck by, which I was going to say, was that
Yeah.
when I saw his son approaching the court,
Yes.
he's an absolutely spitting image of him.
Of course he is, yeah. Isn't
Well,
that
I mean,
amazing?
Well, not everybody's son is a spitting image of them, but he really is. But does he really want... I mean, one of the reasons he now wants to have this done is not for any apparent closure or anything like that. He wants to inherit the title.
Of course he wants to inherit the title.
Well, who would want to be Lord Lucan?
Well, I mean, you could say who'd want to be Henry VIII, but his descendants have
Well, you
become
can't be
kings.
Henry VIII.
No, I know you can't be Henry
You can be
VIII.
Henry the Ninth.
Yeah, but you can be the King of England, and there
Well,
will
that's not
be
the
other
same
kings
thing.
of England. No, I don't agree.
Well, Henry VIII was not kind of, reviled as one of the most hideous and heartless murderers of all time.
You don't know he's a murderer.
Well, no, but the mystery of his
That's what I'm saying.
disappearance,
You don't know he's a murderer.
is basically, thought to be because he murdered the nanny.
We don't know whether somebody else murdered the nanny. It's never been
but
proven.
nobody knows, but that's why you would not want, I would have thought, to be Lord Lucan.
Isn't it amazing that the Times have hung on to the obituary for 42 years because they would not publish it, and they
Well,
don't
no, I can
publish
understand that.
obituaries about people unless they're declared dead.
I can
and as he was
understand
only
that.
declared dead yesterday, they published... I mean, it's amazing. I'm looking at it here. It's published on pages called Register, and it says, Lord Lucan, Debonair Earl, whose mysterious...
Debonair?
Debonair Earl, whose mysterious disappearance after the murder of his nanny sparked 4 decades of fascinated speculation. And then there's a 2-page obituary.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
Well, his son reckons that actually he hired a hitman. It was a hitman that killed him.
Well, that's exactly what was the theory of the drama that was done 2 years ago. Because, immediately after...
But that's hardly sort of admonishing him, is it? I mean, talking about how, well, he didn't kill the nanny, he hired a hitman to do it.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. But
nice guy.
Immediately after the nanny was murdered, the wife was attacked by the same man in the basement. But then, for some unknown reason, Lord Lucan, if he was the killer, why did he take her upstairs and start bathing her wounds in the bedroom? And she thought, she was so
Well, we
spooked.
don't know if that happened either.
Well, no, we do, because the wife told us about that.
But the wife may be telling Porky.
No, because then she ran out the house and said, oh, he was bathing my wounds. I think he was just patching me up to try and kill me again, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely amazing stuff, isn't it? I'm just looking now in the Daily Telegraph, which, of course, is another one of
Why
what
are you
we
not
talk
talking
the
into the
broadsheets.
microphone, though?
I am. I'm
No,
leaning
you're not.
over.
You're talking to the side of it.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
why it
Well,
doesn't sound as
I am
good.
now. And what I'm telling you is that the Telegraph have not carried the obituary of Lord Lucan,
No, they
even
missed the trick.
though he's only just been declared dead for the first time in 42 years.
No, maybe they know something that we don't.
That's amazing stuff.
Maybe they've taken a view that he's definitely not dead.
Quite amazing stuff, in my view.
Les says this: come visit Parry's gaff, the old curiosity shop, the penthouse suite that time forgot. Bring the kids.
Don't be ridiculous. Just because I said to you, I picked up a few boxes of matches.
You've got boxes of matches there.
I have, yes, actually.
Well, you should use them. They might not be usable anymore.
Well, they will be usable,
You should
but
bring them in.
But I mean, I tell you what, they'll be worth a fortune in a few years' time.
They will not be worth a fortune. Boxes of matches will never be worth a fortune.
You know what I mean? I mean, it doesn't matter whether they're worth a fortune or not. What you do is you pick up these things because they're a signpost to your life and remind you.
You know what I love now?
Of your journey through life
is going to places. Very rarely now do you find places that have matches, but when they do,
I agree.
I think it's brilliant, and I will tend to visit those places more than I visit other places.
Why?
Because I think it's a really nice sort of one souvenir of the place that you can get.
Yeah, but you can't smoke in any places. That's why
yeah,
they
but
don't
you
have
smoke
matches.
outside. But I just like the idea that they give free matches. I think it's harkens back to an easier time.
Would you like to have looked like Lord Lucan? You know,
No.
like the traditional establishment English gentleman.
No.
Wouldn't you?
No, would you?
Very handsome chap.
Oh,
yeah,
so that's another bit of sort of weird sort of snobbery that you.
I think I'd have fitted into upper crust society in the 60s.
You wouldn't at all.
Yeah, I think
you were
so.
absolutely wrong about that.
No, I think I would have done.
No, they would have seen through your charlatan-like visage.
Not at all.
This is Talk Sport. Loads more coming up.
Everyone knows that all the best things come in threes. 3 Amigos, 3 Stooges, 3 Lions. And right now, if you sign up to 888 Sport, you'll get treble the odds on your first bet. Join 888 Sport and harness the power of 3 with treble the odds on your first bet. New customers only, minimum £5 bet to qualify, maximum £10 bet at treble odds. Bet at normal odds, extra winnings added within 72 hours, extra winnings paid in cash. Maximum extra winnings capped at £5,000. See site for full T's and C's.
18 plus. The kitchen has changed. And with up to 40% off a selection of ready-to-fit Wix kitchens, you can enjoy a new one in no time. Plus cabinets from as little as £25 and worktops from £35. Is it time to change yours? Wix. Let's do it right. For offer details, visit wix.co.uk.
If you've recently noticed that you're starting to lose your hair, there are a range of options open to you. You could have a hair transplant, as long as you're earning as much as a Premier League footballer. For the more thrifty amongst us, there's always the classic comb-over. Or if you really want to make a statement, why not go all out and get yourself a poodle perm wig? However, if you want to do something effective, you're going to need facts, not fiction. Regain for Men Extra Strength Scalp Foam contains minoxidil, which has been scientifically proven to help stop and even reverse hereditary hair loss, working deep down at the root. It can be used on a receding hairline, and the earlier you start using it, the higher your chances of success. You could even start seeing visible results in 16 weeks. And now Regain has an app that gives you support and advice to track your progress and maintain your twice-daily routine. Separate the facts from the fiction at regain.co.uk. Regain contains minoxidil. Always read the label.
Mark Saggers, he runs the old station. He's Mr. Big.
I'm a very important man.
Listen to his radio show tonight from 7 on TalkSport. Do you comprehend, eh?
Right, get it sorted.
Favourite Rolling Stones song, that?
I tell you what, it's a brilliant song. It's a brilliant song. You completely misrepresented me there.
Jamie says, can Porky ride a unicycle backwards because he's great at backpedaling?
No. I think you'll find if you examine every word I said, I never once criticised that song. It's a brilliant Stones song. The only point I made was we were talking about songs that Keith Richards and Mick Jagger had written, and they didn't actually write that song.
Right.
It's called the Harlem Shuffle because it was a great soul song written by...
Who was it written by?
I don't know. But, I mean, I imagine somebody like Irving Berlin or somebody like that.
Irving Berlin?
Wouldn't it be?
No.
Why not?
Well, Irving Berlin didn't write soul songs, did he?
Well, he wrote great songs, didn't he? And, I mean, is that necessarily just a soul song?
I don't think Irving Berlin wrote anything like Harlem Shuffle.
Well, somebody...
I'm not sure he'd ever been to Harlem.
Well,
now, how about this
can't
from...
you find out on your information device who wrote the Harlem Shuffle?
I will find out, yeah. Here's one from Maestro, who says, Lord Lucan was once considered for the role of James Bond. Hashtag odd fact of the day.
I read that somewhere, yeah.
And Mick, who's not taking it quite so seriously, says Lord Lucan has been playing centre forward for Everton in the past 40 years.
Well, that's a bit harsh, but I know what you mean. I don't know what you mean, actually, but I'll just take that one on the chin. What I was going to say was...
What were you going to say?
He spent all his time in the Claremont Club, which was run by his friend John Aspinall. And I remember in the dramatisation, which was brilliant, and I tell you who played him, it was the son of the guy who fell off the horse.
The son of the guy who fell off the horse?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to get that?
Yeah, of course you are.
Wasn't it one of the guys from Brideshead that played him?
No. You know Dick Emery? Remember the famous Dick Emery who lived round your parts in London?
Where?
Round your parts in London.
Where? What, Hampstead?
Yeah, he did live round there, yeah.
Did he?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Danny LaRue lived down the road from me. I'm not sure about Dick Emery.
Well, there you go. Anyway, Dick Emery had a sidekick who was a brilliant comedian in his own right, who, what was his name?
I have no idea.
But his son...
Is he the one that fell off the horse?
He's the one that fell off the horse. But they were making a sequel to the Four Musketeers, right?
Right.
And he was one of the Musketeers.
Uh-huh.
Now, his son is now a very well-established actor, and he played Lord Lucan in the dramatisation, but he also plays a lot of other very popular TV roles. Now, what's his name?
I've no idea. You haven't given me enough clues.
No, hang on.
He was the son of a guy who was Dick Emery's sort of Joker.
That's right.
Who fell off a horse.
That's right. His name is Rory somebody, and his dad was...
You're not thinking about Michael York.
No,
You're
not
not thinking about Oliver
York.
Reed.
No.
These are all people that were in the Four Musketeers.
No, this was like a spoof Four Musketeers, and the reason... What happened was they galloped out of the castle, right, across the drawbridge, then turned left, but they hadn't put enough sand down, and the concrete was too slippy. It was like a granite sort of path, you know?
Right.
And the horse slipped on the path, and Rory's dad came off the horse, bashed his head, and unfortunately died. It was very sad.
Okay.
He was a very gifted comedian.
Right.
And I'm trying to remember it now.
No idea.
Rory's the name of the guy who played Lucan, right? No doubt about it. And his dad... Oh, no, somebody will know. Somebody will tell us, don't worry.
Somebody will know. Now, apparently Harlem Shuffle was written in 1963, released by Bob and Earl, who were a sort of a duo, a soul duo.
Yes.
So it wasn't Irving Berlin at all.
No, but who wrote it?
They did.
Bob and Earl wrote it.
Bob and Earl.
Did they?
Yeah, Bob,
Because I've heard
Ralph
versions.
and Earl Nelson.
I've heard versions by sort of Dionne Warwick.
Yeah.
And...
well, she records a lot of other people's songs.
Yeah, and who's the other famous sort of soul singer? Aretha Franklin. Dionne Warwick.
Are you thinking of Roy Kinnear? Dave and
Roy
Ian
Kinnear.
have tweeted in.
Roy Kinnear, and his dad was called...
No, Roy Kinnear's the dad.
Oh, yeah, Roy and Rory.
So Roy fell off the horse.
Roy fell off the horse and sadly died.
And Rory... I've never seen Rory Kinnear in anything.
You know what? My microphone
What are you doing with it?
Well, it's not turned around the right way, so I don't know which bit of it is active and which bit isn't. You should get these things sorted.
Well, it should have a little arrow that points towards the part where you're supposed to be round the right way.
Yeah, but it doesn't, I'm afraid. But anyway, there we go. That's not...
You don't want to mess that up as well as everything else.
Concern for our millions in the audience.
By the way, I'll give some good news on the podcast front. We're hopeful that the podcast from yesterday has now been fixed and will be re-released later on for people who weren't able to listen to the show yesterday.
Are you saying people get the choice of 2 podcasts today?
Yeah.
But they'll probably, hopefully, listen to both of them.
Yeah, very possibly.
Yeah, good. Right, now then, what was I going to tell you? What I was going to tell you was this. Did you know...
Almost certainly not.
And I find this very strange, that for the first time... sales of popcorn in this country, in the bag, in a shop, have overtaken crisps.
Really?
Now, I find that astonishing.
That is astonishing. Is it because they think that it's somehow healthier to eat popcorn than it is to eat crisps?
Popcorn sales almost more than doubled in 5 years to reach £129 million last year. Crisp sales... Oh, no, hang on. No, sorry, it's...
Is it wrong?
Well, crisp sales are 1.39 billion.
Right.
Which sounds about right.
Yeah.
What it means is...
And what are popcorn sales?
Sales of crisps have fallen below those of other potato snacks for the first time, a decline attributed to healthy lifestyles and supermarket price wars.
Well, hang on, what do you mean? Other potato crisp snacks? Well, like what else is there?
I don't know, what else is there?
What, you mean like cheddars or something like that?
Something like that, I suppose, yeah. It says popcorn sales also more than doubled in 5 years to reach 129 million.
Well, that's nowhere near 1.9 billion, is it?
No, I've confused the facts here. What it says is that crisp sales have levelled out, right, but nevertheless it's 1.39 billion, whereas popcorn sales are roaring ahead. The survey said...
Well, hang on, but what about the point of what point are you making here?
The point I'm making here is that for some unknown reason, we are taking to eating popcorn. Now, I saw a woman the other day at a bus stop eating a bag of popcorn.
Yeah.
And for every 10 flakes of popcorn that went into her mouth, at least 4 tumbled out of her fingers, between her fingers, and fell to the ground.
That's not good.
So they are...
Did you have a word with her?
I didn't actually.
Why
no.
not? I thought you would. That's the sort of thing you would do. Normally.
Well, it wasn't in my street and it wasn't in my town, so I didn't care. So, but I mean, I still think
you didn't care.
No, I think it's revolting.
So, if you see somebody littering and it's not in your street or in your town, you just ignore it.
No, I'm concerned about it, but I care less than if it's in my street or my town. You see what I mean? Because you can't educate the whole of the world all at once. That's the problem.
Well, no,
I can't
you can't
take on the world.
But if you can see
take
something,
on my locality, I can't take on the world.
But if you can see something going on that you don't like, then I think you should address it. To be honest.
But, well, that brings up all sorts of problems. problems.
You're a bit of a busybody, aren't you?
A, have you got time to do it? B, are you putting yourself in danger that somebody might react violently?
What, a woman eating popcorn?
And punch you in the face? Oh, yeah, they can. They can react
Well,
violently.
you don't think you
like
can
that.
defend yourself against that?
Well, you've got to be very careful.
I've just seen a picture of Rory Kinnear.
Right.
And I didn't realise who he was, to
Yeah,
be honest. He
but
was in Skyfall.
He was in Skyfall.
He
that's
played
right.
M's assistant.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly who he is.
You didn't say that. If you'd said that, I would have got him much sooner.
No, you wouldn't, because...
You didn't say the son of the guy that fell off a horse.
M was played by that very debonair English actor.
The young guy, yeah.
No, Ralph somebody, wasn't it? Or somebody?
Oh, you mean Ralph Fiennes?
Yes,
Yeah.
Ralph Fiennes.
Yeah.
And his assistant was
Rory Kinnear.
Rory Kinnear, the
Yeah.
guy we just talked about.
Right.
Yeah. See, so all adds up, doesn't it, eh? You know what I mean?
Isn't there meant to be a new M in...
I don't think so. I think it's Ralph. I think it's Ralph Fiennes.
Is he in that as well?
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah. Now I don't eat crisps anymore because I think they're in. What the word I'm
I've
looking
never
for?
been a big crisp
I
eater,
think
to
they're
be honest.
antisocial.
Why?
The noise they make.
The noise they make.
Yeah.
Well, if you're on a train, for example,
That's what I mean.
and that guy's
That's
shouting
exactly
down
what I mean.
shouting down the intercom,
Yeah.
and the rattler is kind of going.
Yeah.
You're not going to hear somebody eating crisps.
You are, because crisps have a double velocity apparel. One,
What?
They have a double velocity
apparel.
Yeah. One is the bag, which makes a lot of noise because of its very nature that it's made of that sort of foil-type stuff,
Yeah.
right?
I'll tell you what else is
but
wrong with the
secondly,
crisp
crisps
business.
break up and crunch inside the bag.
Yeah.
So I always prefer... I don't eat them in pubs either because for the same reason.
Yeah.
It's much easier and, in my view, more socially acceptable to eat peanuts.
Is it?
Yep.
Yeah, but peanuts can make quite a bit of noise as you
No,
crunch
they can't.
them.
No, they
if you're
can't.
going to be that sensitive about it.
No,
The thing that I object to about crisps is that you go to a lot of places and buy them. So I tend to buy them for my kids every now and again. And they only now do these giant bags.
Giant bags,
It's very
yeah.
hard to find a small bag of crisps. And I think the giant bags, and this will feed into the whole thing about obesity, right? Because you don't need a giant bag of crisps. A small bag is perfectly acceptable.
But within your giant bag, aren't there 8 small bags?
No, I'm not talking about the massive bags.
That's
I'm
what I'm
talking
talking
about the individual bags.
Yeah.
If you go to buy an individual packet of crisps...
I don't agree.
They've now expanded them, right,
I don't
to
agree.
a much larger size.
I don't agree.
And they're much more expensive.
And the reason I don't agree is because you see that a lot of shops these days, in their takeaway sections, do what they call a meal deal.
Eh?
And you do a meal deal.
What, in a shop? What sort of shop?
Well, like Tesco's or something like
Well,
that.
is this where you buy food to eat?
No, but you get
Well,
a
obviously it
sandwich. No. It's just in one of my...
Well, I go to Tesco's to buy food to cook.
In one of my
But
sales
I
surveys.
don't know anything about meal deals.
Well, don't you take notice of what's on around you?
Well, no, I'm not interested in what they want to sell me. I don't buy sandwiches at places like that.
Honestly, considering you're supposed to be a trained observer,
I don't
observatory powers.
wish to have Tesco give me a sandwich to eat.
What you get is you get a sandwich. You do
this every day, don't you?
A bottle of pop and a bag of crisps. It's
What are
called
you,
a
10?
meal deal.
What are you, 10?
It's called a meal deal. And the bag of crisps is the standard size bag of crisps, and there's thousands of them there. So I don't know where you're shopping or what you're looking at.
Well, I'm talking about
It's
when
not
you
very
go
impressive.
when you go to say a Tesco Express, for example, and you go and look at what crisps they have on offer.
Yes.
Hardly any of the bags of crisps, or if you sometimes I'm getting petrol in a garage or something. I give the kids a pack of crisps to eat as we're driving somewhere. They're all sized up. They're all been sized up. They're not small anymore.
No, I think you're talking garbage.
Rubbish.
Garbage.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't know because, you live in this nether world where you only notice the things you want to notice, whereas I have to notice everything.
I know most things, mate.
Do you? Well, we'll find out next because it's time for Porky Vision.
The Barclays Premier League on Talk Sport. 100% football all weekend, every weekend.
Oh my word, he's put it beyond the goalkeeper.
Saturday afternoon from 5, Southampton versus West Ham.
Running through a goal! Southampton take the lead!
Sunday from 1, Bournemouth versus Arsenal.
Julius Stanislas! Unbelievable!
Plus, around the grounds with live reports from every game throughout the season. Official partner of the Barclays Premier League. Talk Sport.
As your TV reviewer, I can reveal there are no plans for a new series.
Yeah, no, but wasn't there a previous series?
Oh, hang on, wait a minute. It says here there might be a new series. What's your problem?
This is Talk Sport, and of course that music signals only one thing. It's that time of the week where we hear about what's been going on television, what you should be watching, what you might want to give a miss to. Mr. Porky Parry.
Yeah, OK.
So-
Now, listen, I want to get straight to it, right?
Yeah, go on.
There is a new cop series on television. Well, it's not new, actually. I think it's the second series of it.
Is it?
But it's called Vera.
Vera, oh yeah,
and
Vera's been going for years.
Well, I've only
it's all in the northeast.
That's right. I've only just happened on it, right?
Really?
It's garbage. It is absolute utter rubbish.
I must say, I don't mind Vera.
In my view, well, I don't know how you can like it, because what they do is what they've done is, in my opinion, in my view, they have watched Columbo for years and years and years, and Columbo actually finished in about 1991 or something. You know what I mean? It's years and years old, and they thought, oh look. This is a shuffling sort of wreck of a policeman, but actually underneath it all, he's a genius, and he solves all the crimes, OK? But, I mean, what they failed to sort of realise and failed to sort of get into was the fact that he used his shambling sort of absent-mindedness as a cover for his genius brain.
Right.
Vera, on the other hand... I'm not sure what she is. How she ever became a detective chief inspector?
Isn't she just slightly disorganised?
No. She's a complete plank.
I don't think that's true.
And if I was a crime in my house, right? If something happened, if I suddenly got home and found a dead body lying on the floor with a knife in its back, okay,
Right.
and she turned up, I tell you what, I'd stop paying my council tax, because she is just an incompetent. Both in form, in thinking, in everything else. She walks around looking like, when we lived in Manhattan, you'd regularly see these bag women pushing a supermarket trolley around with all their possessions in it. She looks like one of them.
Right.
And she wears this floppy hat. She wears a mac that swirls around and a long Doctor Who type scarf.
Right.
And she wanders around, as you quite rightly say, saying, "Oh, aye, man," and "Oh, pet. How are you,
Well,
pet?"
that's because he's being an authentic person from that part of the world.
Now, what have we got here? We got a body.
You know, this is Series 6, don't you?
What?
It's Series 6.
Well, I don't care how many series it is. There shouldn't have been a Series 1. And she stutters around. I think the actress who plays it is called Brenda Blythen.
I think you're right.
Right.
Brenda Blethyn.
Yeah, and she's been
Who's
quite...
a wonderful actress.
She's apparently been quite good in other things in the past, you know what I mean? But this, to me...
I think she's won quite a few awards,
It just doesn't take off at all. When you see her in the briefing room at the police station, right, you've got all these, fast, sharp young minds, all these cops who want to get on in life, and then this woman who looks like their grandmother, literally looks like their grandmother...
It's a bit ageist, isn't it?
Pottering around, "Oh, why, aye, lads, now, have we got a clue on this one? Have we followed that up? And have you asked the hotel manager if he saw
So what was the plot of the one you watched,
saw
then?
anybody killing anybody else or anything like that, eh?"
What was the plot of the one you saw?
The one I saw was, well, all she seems to do is spend the time driving around Northumberland. Because, you see, this is the twist on this one is it's not actually based in Newcastle. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Previous... I don't actually. There's never been a cop
series in Newcastle.
But there's been like cop series alluding to Newcastle, like Our Friends in the North, and that kind of stuff.
Was that a cop series? I don't think it was a cop series. Our Friends in the North.
Well, I think it was about gangsters.
Was it?
And where there are gangsters, there have to be cops, if you see what I mean, to keep them down.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So anyway. So she's driving around Northumberland, you're looking for dead bodies and all this kind of stuff, and it just doesn't come off to me at all.
I don't understand why you've taken such exception to it.
Because she comes over as being a complete and total incompetent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but that's the trick, because it turns out she's not.
No, she is. She is, in my view. She's a total incompetent.
But she always solves the crime.
No, she doesn't solve the crime. She blunders around, treading on clues and all this kind of stuff. And how she ever became a detective chief inspector, I tell you what, if I worked in the Northumberland police force, the real one, I would actually have written by now to the filmmakers or the programme makers and said, "You've got to stop doing this. It makes us all look like a bunch of jerks."
But isn't it based on a series of books or something?
Why, aye, man? Has anybody seen any bodies?
But isn't it based on a series of books, though?
Anybody
Detective
murdering
books?
anybody today? Because I've got nothing to do in my detective's office, I think I'll get in the car and drive around Northumberland.
Well, it must
see
be
if I can find any crimes.
It must be quite successful if they've run 6 series of it.
I don't know who watches it. I mean, maybe the whole of the northeast of England watches it and nobody else, because it can't make any sense to anybody else. If everybody in the northeast of England is as dozy as she is, right, then I tell you what, companies worldwide will start withdrawing investment from the northeast of England, from Newcastle and Gateshead, because it's absolute drivel.
Well, it says here that it's the fictional Northumberland and City Police that she works for.
Oh, okay.
She's got a calculating mind.
Calculating? No.
She's got an irascible personality.
Irascible? She hasn't got any personality.
She plods around in a dishevelled state.
Yeah, that's right.
But she cares deeply about her work.
Yeah, but she's always having a go. She's a miserable individual in the office, always having a go at her colleagues. And
her private life is a bit of a mess, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I don't know about her private life. Don't think she's got a private life. She doesn't look to me like she's ever had sex. She looks to me like a completely untouchable woman, if you see what I mean. And as a police officer, I just cannot see how she can gather the respect of her fellow officers.
Well, over the first 5 or so series, it's garnered about 6.5 million viewers. So.
Yeah, but not at the same time.
Yeah, it has. Yeah.
No, rubbish.
That's why it keeps getting recommissioned.
No, there couldn't be 6.5 million people watching it.
Not that I would.
6.5 million stupid people in this country.
Not that I would say that ratings necessarily make something a good show.
Exactly.
Anyway, what else have you been watching?
What else have you been watching?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I'm fed up with you slagging it off because I quite like Vera. I think it's all right.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, that's maybe you'd like to do the TV review then. You know what I mean?
It's not my area.
No, not your area at all. So just keep your opinions to yourself.
I'm assuming you've got more than one show to talk about.
Yeah.
Right,
I've got plenty to talk about. Now there was a show on last night called. I'll tell you what it was. It was. What's your problem?
Nothing.
I saw the documentary on Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Quite frightening.
What, The Mad World of Donald Trump?
The Mad World of Donald Trump.
Yeah, go on, tell us then.
Well,
I see he's claiming that Ted Cruz rigged the vote now.
He did, yeah. Electronic voting or something, is it?
Well, nobody's taking any notice of him, basically.
No, nobody's taking notice. I think he's finished, don't you? Because he sort of lost that Iowa caucus. But anyway, it says he is a bit mad and all that, so that was quite good. Now, the other thing I've watched...
It says he's a bit mad?
Well, a bit crazy, and they've gone bankrupt a few times. Yeah. But we all have, haven't we, in business,
Well, I've never gone bankrupt.
Unfortunately, I have. Well, not bankrupt, but I mean, I did manage to lose a considerable part of my wealth when I ventured into areas
but the trouble with people like with Trump and bankruptcy, which he doesn't like to talk about, is that, as you know, in Chapter 11 filings in the US, when you go bankrupt, what you do is you protect yourself from your creditors.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily that you don't have any money, it's just that you don't want to pay the people that you owe.
That's right.
And so you basically put your company into bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And that's what he does.
Yeah, Chapter 11,
So he's not mad at all.
Yeah. Now, I tell you what's back, and I missed the first episode of the latest series, but I must get it back, is Birds of a Feather, which is brilliant.
Birds of a Feather?
Birds of a Feather is brilliant.
What, you mean they've reshot it with new people or the same old people?
Hang on, have I got the right show here? The one about the two Essex girls.
With the 3 women that live together.
That's right, yeah, Birds of a Feather.
Yeah.
Now...
I'm not happy about that.
Why?
Well, I didn't particularly like the show.
Oh, well, I think it's brilliant. Now, I don't...
You think Birds of a Feather is brilliant, but you don't like Vera?
No, I don't like Vera at all.
Yeah.
Now, I don't care for either of the Essex girls. They just don't appeal to me. Pauline Quayle, is it?
Quirk,
that's her, yeah. Pauline Quirk, yeah. Who, incidentally... I thought was brilliant as the sort of misanthrope in Broadchurch.
Yes.
She was the one who lived in the caravan.
That's right, yeah.
And had the skateboard
Who
of the
was
dead
very
boy.
suspicious, right?
Yeah, and walked her dog and then disappeared for months and then came back, right? I thought she was good in that. But I don't think it works as,
Actually, since it's called Birds of a Feather,
yeah,
it'd be better if her name was Pauline Quayle, wouldn't it?
It would, actually, yeah. That's probably what triggered
a couple of curate's eggs.
Thing, right? Now, the other woman, whose name I don't know,
right.
and...
well, there's 3 of them, isn't there?
Yeah, hang on. I'm talking about the 2 Essex girls.
Oh, right.
I keep telling you, 2 Essex girls,
well,
right?
Isn't it Anita Dobson?
No, she was Angie in EastEnders.
Yeah, isn't she
Even
in
I know that. No, she's not in it, no. So
sure?
anyway...
Somebody like her, though, isn't it?
No. Now, the third woman, who plays Dorian, is a great actress.
Uh-huh.
It's not Maureen Lipman, but it's like Maureen Lipman.
Like Maureen Lipman?
Yeah.
What do you mean sounds like?
Well...
It's like charades, this, isn't it?
No, what I'm saying is she plays Dorian, and to me, she could...
Do you mean Linda Robson?
No, Linda Robson is the other Essex girl.
Oh, that's the one you don't like?
That's the one... Well, I'm indifferent to her. They don't bring anything to me, to the show. Perhaps I don't understand Essex culture, because I'm a northern boy, and I just don't understand the culture of Essex, and they're a bit sort of low grade.
Yeah.
Whereas Dorian is high grade, right?
She's a snob.
Oh, yeah, I suppose basically she is.
Dorian, as in the picture of Dorian Gray?
Yes, that's right, yes.
You sure it's not Doreen?
No, it's Dorian, honestly, it's Dorian.
Dorian?
Yeah, I can't remember what the name of the actress is who
really?
plays her. But somebody will tell me in a minute.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
Now, what I was going to say is, a few years ago, she would have been right at the top of the FMP, the first Mrs.
She
Paradise.
is your kind of woman, isn't she?
Yeah, she is sexy, she is flirtatious, she has long red fingernails, she wears short skirts, high heels, black tights and all that kind of stuff. And,
not that you're in any way shallow.
No, and to me is a totally appealing human being, whereas the other 2 are not. Right. So I only watch it to see how Dorian's coping, because I think the other 2 bully her. because she is high class. She's a sophisticated woman. She's got on in life. She uses the advantage of her good looks and sophistication to get on in life. But the other two are always trying to pull her down.
Right.
The other two are very basic. You know, they believe in base values. They're both,
like what?
Well, they're both married criminals. Right. And that's why they live in this house
her
in
character
Essex.
always sort of... She's a bit of a man-eater, isn't she?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, you wouldn't like that.
No, right, that's very appealing. I think a woman who likes a man is very appealing. You know, you think, well, you know, she's a sexy woman and all that kind of stuff. And
You're thinking of Leslie Joseph.
Leslie Joseph, that's exactly who I'm talking about. And she's weathered time well, because she's been in quite a few series now over the years, and in my view is a great advert for that show. And without her, there wouldn't be a show. So I think they should really bump her part up quite a bit, and maybe even call it Dorian, you know, or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the other two contribute to the show as much as she does, and they are low-grade people. I don't like watching low-grade people.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm not talking about the actresses. They're fine people.
But whenever they
talking
try
about the characters,
Yeah, but whenever they try and do, take somebody out, like Jerry out of Friends,
yes,
and put Jerry in a show of his own,
right,
and it completely bombed.
Yes.
You know, because the whole point of the ensemble cast, is that surely the cast works better together.
Georgia Mildred was taken out of Man About the House, right, and proved to be more popular than Man About the House.
Yeah, but that was about 50 years ago.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but you're talking about an example. I've just given you one.
Yeah, well,
okay,
it's not a good one. Anyway, that was Porky Vision. Same time next week. You'll hear some more. Don't bother watching Vera.
Yes.
I think it's the verdict. This is TalkSport.
Porky Vision.
Richard Bailey of Great Britain attempting to navigate the icy garden path. Confidently shuts the front door and is off, looking good. A slip, a slide, into a slow 360 turn. Not intentional, mind you, but he's doing very well. Oops! Spoke too soon! Both feet are up, they're high. That's it. He's down, right next to the garden gate.
February needs more good stuff too. So Asda's got loads of deals, like these cosy new Covent Garden soups and Warburton's crumpets, both at £1, just to help make February that little bit better. Asda, save money, live better.
Selected stores, lines and availability.
Prostate cancer kills over 10,000 men every year. That's one every hour. Raise cash to help beat prostate cancer on Football to Amsterdam 2016. An epic 2-day sponsored cycle challenge. Visit prostatecanceruk.org/Amsterdam to find out more. prostatecanceruk.org/Amsterdam.
If you fancy a flutter on the football, a gamble on the golf, a double on the darts, or a treble on the tennis, you're in luck. Get closer to the action every weekend with Betway's Man in the Know on the Weekend Sports Breakfast with Georgie Bingham and Mickey Quinn. Bringing you all the form on the football, the going at Goodwood, the tries at Twickenham and the overs at the Oval. Every Saturday and Sunday morning from 7 on TalkSport. With Betway. For the latest offers, head to betway.com.
Load it up, lads.
Membership is free.
TalkSport.
What'll I do when you are far away and I am blue? What'll I do when I'm alone with only dreams of you that won't come true? What'll I do?
There's an old classic song.
Yeah, well, that's the theme music to Birds of a
Oh, is
Feather.
it? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
didn't you know that?
No. I
You
don't
idiot.
watch...
Why do you think we were playing it?
Well, I don't watch that kind of stuff.
Eh?
I don't watch that kind of stuff.
Well, you see, I
It's
do.
not for me.
Why?
It's not for me.
So
It's
what do
old
you...
person's television. That's
No,
what
it's
it is.
not old person's
That's
television.
why you watch it.
It's a very modern
Oh,
series.
don't
It's the
be
new
ridiculous.
series.
How's it modern? What's modern about it?
It's the new series.
It's not a modern television series.
They've taken it on 20 years from the original one.
Well, how so? How have they made it 20 years
Because they've upgraded everything.
modernised?
Dorian came back as a kind of, what was it? A best-selling author.
Right.
And that's why she made money, right? And then, she was sort of queen bee and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And then her publisher rang her up and said, look, your latest book's just collapsed. I'm afraid we're closing you down.
Yeah.
And then she got no money.
Right,
See what I
okay.
mean? It was that sort of thing.
Now,
you know?
Jeff says, Porky, do you not remember Jimmy Nail as Spender? That was a cop series set in Newcastle.
Yes,
It was
I do.
written by the famous writer Ian Lafreniere.
I do. And do you know what the...
That's from Geordie Jeff.
And do you know what the cover song to that was? The entry song? What do you call it? The theme song?
Crocodile Shoes or
It
something?
was Crocodile shoes.
I don't like that song.
Crocodile shoes.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Jimmy Nails singing, to be honest. Andy in Falkirk says this. What is it with Porky that women who don't display a level of attractiveness he finds appealing, he gets all sexist, ageist and misogynistic? Remind him that he's no looker himself.
What? That's a terrible thing to say. I'd never get misogynist or ageist or critical of women. I respect all women.
Apart from the Rivera thing.
Hang on. I was attacking a character.
Yes.
I was not attacking the woman.
No, of course not.
For goodness sake.
Here's one from Dazza who says, the irony of Porkyvision criticising an incompetent when the slot is based on Porky's idiocy.
What?
That's a bit harsh.
What?
Becky says, worst Porkyvision for some time, destroyed Vera, rambled on about Pauline Quayle, and not a Corrie Rogerisation follow-up.
No, well, I mean, look, you could do that every week. It goes on and on and on in that show, and I just think that, we've perhaps had enough of it, you know what I mean?
And Rye says this, says it all about Porky. He likes the rich slapper, not the ordinary woman who loves her man.
Well, no, that's unfair. Why would you call a woman a slapper just because she likes keeping her fingernails long and red? She likes wearing high heels. She likes wearing tight clothes. Why is that slappery?
Well, I don't know.
Is it?
I don't know. You'd have to answer that question yourself. Lee in South Wales says, Leslie Joseph's character in Birds of a Feather is dreadful. She's a right old haggard snob, but she's lower class trying to be upper class.
No, not at all.
That's why you like her.
She's upper class trying to, maintain standards.
I think the point of the comedy in the show, surely, is the fact that they make fun of her because she's always trying to be more jumped up than they are.
Well, no, but she is.
Which is entirely your MO, isn't it?
No, not at all. Now, you've just described the plot of Cynthia Bouquet. Cynthia Bucket.
Hyacinth.
Hyacinth Bouquet, right?
Right.
Now, she's a woman who's very middle class.
Yeah, but that's what Leslie Joseph's character is.
No, Leslie Joseph was born upper class, and hers is a story about battling to remain upper class in the face of financial collapse and having to associate with two rather basic and frankly grubby neighbours who are the wives, respectively, of men who've gone to jail for violent crimes like armed robbery and all that kind of stuff.
But it is basically a class argument once again, isn't it?
It is a class argument.
Now, what about the milk tray man? We haven't mentioned him yet. There's a new milk tray man.
He's a fireman from Liverpool.
Well, what's wrong with that?
Who lives in Chester, which is my home city, so I'm very happy to say.
Shouldn't you be singing his praises then? Another great success story from Chester.
Do you think it's a great idea to revive?
Well, you've just told me about how great it is to revive Birds of a Feather. Why not revive the milk tray man?
Actually, funny enough, when I worked on a tabloid newspaper, we were offered by Cadbury's the exclusive on their new milk tray advert, right? And
those were the days.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
investigative journalism at its best.
Oh, absolutely. And and I had to get a reporter. I'm not joking. To go through it, and it involved jumping out of a helicopter into the River Thames, and he nearly drowned.
Excellent.
The reporter.
Right. Who did you get to do that?
I tell you what, he went on. He was an ex-soldier who came to us as the. This is no joke.
It was Sean Raymond, was it?
It was Sean Raymond.
Yeah. He knew how to kill a man in 26 different ways.
Absolutely,
you got to be careful about him.
Absolutely, he came to us as a security and sort of military expert.
That's right.
At a time when
he was a good reporter.
It was all going on. Well, but he wasn't a reporter. He hadn't trained as a reporter.
Yeah.
He came to us.
But he went and worked for the Telegraph, didn't he?
He worked for the Sunday Telegraph. He started breaking exclusives about what was going on.
Yeah.
But the thing he knew most about, because he'd served over there, was fighting the IRA in Ireland.
Yeah.
And I don't mean fighting them hand-to-hand gun battles. I mean the intelligence war.
That's what I mean, yeah.
And he used to tell me stories about men, right, in his division who would spend weeks living in the loft, right, in the above the ceilings of suspects who were, involved in terrorism and all this kind of stuff, where they would just listen to conversations for weeks on end. It was an incredible story, and these people were highly sophisticated in the work they did and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right, he did, and he was rather shocked when I said, well, you were in the military, weren't you? Yes.
Right.
Do you know anything about helicopters? He said, I've travelled in them, of course. I said, great, you're going to travel in one today. He said, what? And I told him, you're going to be the milk tray man.
Yeah.
You're going off in a helicopter, and he tried to sort of resist being used as a sort of, what would you say, a stunt man.
Yeah.
Because he'd come to write great journalism. But I said, well, great journalism will have to come later. There's a bang.
Right.
And he went off and did it. So it was all right.
Well, good for him.
Yeah.
He's now written a few books. I'm just looking at his website.
He has,
Into the Killing Zone, 2008.
Yes.
The Bomb Hunters.
Yes.
2011.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And Afghanistan, Tales from the Special Forces Club.
Yes.
2013.
Well, I tell you what happened. I think he became a freelance because every time there was some kind of great, military story about, I don't know, some terrible incursion in Afghanistan or something like that, the very next day, or usually in one of the Sunday papers, you'd see this detailed breakdown of where the operation all went wrong. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because he still had, obviously, great contacts inside the military, inside the army.
Yeah.
And I think even
He's a very pleasant guy, actually.
Yeah, he's a very pleasant
I
guy.
got to know him quite well.
Inside the intelligence services, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a good chap, I agree.
Oh, good.
Right, now, I'll tell you what I want to talk to you about, man. I want to talk to you about the situation involving
what?
The energy crisis. It's going to hit this country very soon.
The energy crisis.
It's called the wind gap.
Well, what about the fact that, after having had what was probably quite a pleasant period of time paying very little money for diesel or petrol to put in your car, they're now declaring they're going to start putting it up again.
Why?
Because apparently they say that the market is probably bottoming out. And so now all the retailers are going, we're going to start putting the prices up again.
According to the experts, this low fuel, low petrol is a deliberate, massive worldwide policy.
Enough, I'm just looking at Sean Raymond's Twitter.
Yes.
He follows me on Twitter.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. There you go. Well, you can tweet out and say that we're talking about it on the show tonight. Funny enough, all the experts say that the current low price of a gallon of petrol, or a litre of petrol, is all about a massive worldwide Saudi Arabian plot to force the fracking companies out of business in America, which is what they've now done.
Right.
Apparently.
No, really?
Apparently, the minute that fuel dropped below £1 a litre in this country, and the same level in America, below $1 a litre there,
a gallon there,
$1 a gallon. I'm sorry, there. That's absolutely right. It became cost-wise, it wasn't worth fracking anymore, so they closed down all the fracking companies.
That seems a bit short-sighted of them. Surely, when it goes back up again, they'll start again. Won't they?
Well, I've no idea, but this apparently was the Saudi plot, and now that they've managed to do that because of the massive reserves of wealth that they held, it might go back into reverse. I agree with that. But I want to tell you about the wind gap very briefly.
Okay.
Right? What is happening is that we've got ageing nuclear power stations. We're closing down the fossil fuel stations. The problem is that output from our 2,237 wind farms, did you know we had that many?
I didn't.
2,000 wind farms produces 0.1% of our power.
Really?
And 75% of our power at the moment comes from coal and gas, which the government is hell-bent on phasing out.
Right.
The situation is going to come to a head maybe sometime next year when we start closing down coal stations. There is no wind power. As I say, it's 0.1%, and we are going to have a gap. And it could be the summer, the winter after the next one.
Right.
The lights may start going out.
The lights are going to start going out. See, that's just more.
I said the lights may start going out.
Yeah, but I think that's just more sort of scaremongering that people do, and they think it's all going to go probably right. I don't think so.
I'll tell you what, we'll take a clip of what you've just said there. It's scaremongering.
Yeah.
When the lights do go out,
well, they won't.
We'll hold you up as the expert, OK?
Yeah. Well, you won't be playing it out because it won't happen. This is Talk Sport.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Talk Sport.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. There will be a podcast coming out. Of course, the Porky quiz coming up on the show tonight.
Yes.
On Beethoven. As you asked for.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
That's question one then, taken care of.
Dun, 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 dun.
Very nice.
Right, okay, yeah.
Now, this is from a texter who doesn't give a name. Parry, you dope. Crocodile Shoes is a theme song to Crocodile Shoes, not Spender.
Yeah, but he played Spender in Crocodile Shoes, didn't he?
I don't know.
Well, I think so.
I mean, you're the expert.
No,
you're
hang
the
on.
guy.
Spender was a different series, yeah. But I mean, look, as I was saying, is what has happened to Jimmy Nail anyway?
No
Have you seen
idea.
Jimmy Nail doing anything in the last couple of years?
No.
Neither have I. I mean, he was a professional Geordie type guy, wasn't he?
Well, I mean, I know
but a very, very, very nice
but
one.
he also,
very good
as a
one,
result of that whole Crocodile Shoes sort of success, he ended up becoming a bit of a musician for a while, didn't he?
Oh, he had a hit song.
But he went on tour and stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
Crocodile Shoes was a hit song. I'm pretty sure it was.
Right.
So
I think what happened was he did a bit of acting, but then he also started doing musical tours as well.
Indeed,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah. But he made his name originally, of course, in Auf Wiedersehen Pet.
Indeed he did.
Didn't he?
Yeah.
Along with a load of other actors.
Yeah, which is another one of those shows that sort of passed me by because it's when it was at its peak of success. I was living in America, and it didn't really translate over
I
there,
never saw an episode of it. And when I did, I got a bit... When I saw a few back copies of it, I tended to think they made the same joke in every episode, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, like Geordie boys in Germany, using strange expressions to explain, I don't know, autobans and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
No, exactly.
But I don't worry about that. Listen,
we haven't got much time left.
No,
so
I know.
wanted to read out a couple of
Are you
tweets.
sure I've told you enough about the wind gap that's coming up? Lack of energy and all that. You've dismissed it.
because again, I fear that you're simply trying to get people worried about the future. When what I wouldn't want people to do is worry about the future, because I think the future's going to be fine. I don't think you should be kind of scaremongering them.
I think you're gullible,
stockpiling
naive,
coal or something.
Gullible, naive.
Every single thing that you've said that you've warned is going to happen, every great catastrophe, blight, plague, whatever, has never happened.
But they haven't happened yet.
Well, no, but that's like saying, eventually Everton will win another game.
That's 'cause
eventually they do.
I can see over the Himalayas, mate. Most people can't see over their garden hedge. I can see over the Himalayas.
You can't see over your dashboard with that
I can see over the Himalayas, and they haven't happened yet. But believe me, they will happen.
Yeah, right. Here's one for from Mathieu. I listened to your programme working in France. Vera is one of the best programmes on TV. Cannot understand this. Porky can't understand it because he's a plank.
No.
And how about this one from Philip? It says, based on Porky's description of the ideal first Mrs. Parry, he should just pop down at Shepherd's Market.
Shepherd's Market? Oh, come off it. That's full of women of low virtue.
Indeed. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics.
Look at the light!
Don't forget to follow the Two Mics at the Two Mics on Twitter and on YouTube. Just look for Two Mics TV.
Nobody cares, Porky. You're a plank. Man of the people, my anus. You're a snobby git.
You don't have to read that word out.
Well, he didn't say that.
word.
He didn't say that. He didn't say anus is acceptable.
Well, it's not, no, actually.
He said S, if you see what I mean. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'd rather you didn't say the other A word either.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
I don't think it's a good word to say on the radio.
All right, posterior.
Yeah, that would be better.
My
Or
posterior.
backside, how about that?
Well, my backside, my posterior. Yeah, well, you know what I mean. No, I think you're talking garbage.
Rubbish.
Garbage.
If you love the Two Mics podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
TalkSport.
If I keep ramming your head into a wall long enough, you'll start making some sense.